Hey people, hope you guys doing great. In today's video we will see, what if Naruto got harem with Gwen, Lindsay and Leshwana, part 2. Huge shout out to Moretsuna Sora for this story. If you end up liking this video please consider subscribe, and like the video, so let's start the story. Waking up was tough, especially after 3 days of staying up in a row, but then again he's done worse so it wasn't that bad. The main thing that had been making his sleep a bit crappy was Harold as the scrawny dude's constant snoring. Now he liked to think of himself as being patient with being able to handle things, but with having stayed up for 3 days his patience was beyond thin. Harold was lucky he and Duncan had just shoved him into a sleeping bag and tossed him outside the front door. "How are you holding up?" Courtney asked as she sat down beside him, setting his bowl of oatmeal down for him since she had offered to get it for him. "Better a bit, some more sleep would have been great, but that's my fault for not thinking to bring earplugs," Naruto told her, giving her a thankful smile for worrying about him. "I have a few extra pairs if you need them. I wouldn't mind giving you them if you need them," she said with a smile which made him chuckle a bit with a grateful smile. "Thanks, really helps out," he said before they noticed Chris walk in, look around a bit before he came over to their table. "Whoa Naruto, Duncan, you two look like crap," Chris told them bluntly, making Duncan glare heavily at him before Naruto sighed. "Yes, we had rough sleep a bit last night due to Harold's snoring. We fixed it but only got about 5 hours of sleep, thanks for noticing," Naruto flatly told Chris while giving him a flat look, his eyes calmly telling the man to stop it, which thankfully Chris got as he held his hands up in surrender. This also thankfully got Duncan to relax a bit since he was also on edge due to lack of sleep. As the door opened, Naruto quickly burst out laughing as Harold stood there for a second and started walking towards them. The guy was walking as if he was the hottest thing around with a visible look at me vibe going on, completely oblivious to other people's laughing at him and his incredibly thin drawn-on marker mustache. He only seemed to really notice when he sat down at the table. "Okay, what?" Harold yelled, clearly getting to him a bit before Jeff leaned over the table. "Someone messed with your face, dude," he told him as Harold picked up a nearby spoon to look at his reflection on it. "Whoever drew that, I feel you missed out the chance to use spray on hair dye to turn his hair blonde and make him look even more like Napoleon Dynamite," Naruto said with a chuckle, noticing a smirk on Duncan's face as he looked up at him as if to say I'll keep that in mind. "Ugh, I'm so tired, I can't feel my face," Gwen groaned out as she pushed open the door and slunk over to her team's table, barely even looking around as she slumped onto the table once she sat down. "A familiar feeling, I remember that from the first time I stayed up this late. It's hell but you'll be okay, just take it slow," Naruto told her from across the way, getting her to look up slightly and smile at him before she went back to having her face buried on the tabletop like Duncan's was. "So let's go over the rules one more time." Heather started once it seemed everyone else was busy talking amongst themselves and Gwen had seemingly passed out. "Number 1. I am the captain of this alliance, so I get to make the rules. Number 2? She said as she motioned towards Beth and Lindsay, leaving it open for them to continue in hopes that they knew the answer. "Breaking the rules can result in getting kicked out of the alliance?" Lindsay answered a bit unsure but hopeful that she was answering correctly. "Good," Heather praised as she was glad the airhead at least understood that much. "Number 3. I can borrow any of your stuff without asking, but my stuff is strictly off limits," she told them, getting them both to look at themselves unsure about what she just said before Lindsay rose up a finger. "I don't know about that last rule," Lindsay said as that didn't quite make sense to her. "That's cool, I can change it. I can also find someone else to take to the final 3 with me," she threatened, smiling as they quickly shook their heads as if afraid of not being brought along with her. "Okay campers, listen up. Your next challenge is in 10 minutes and be prepared to bring it," Chris told them, which only made them groan a bit at. "Seriously? What about the whole 3 days between challenges thing you told us about?" Courtney asked as her team had 2 people in zombie-like states as opposed to the other team which only had Gwen like that. "Well, here's the deal, the Awakathon was a mellow challenge. No real action. Which means we need to crank out another blood-pumping challenge to help make up for it," he explained, making Duncan sit up and glare heavily at Chris. "Should we keep expecting you to go back on what you tell us?" Duncan growled out, clenching a fist and slamming it on the table as Chris smirked and nodded. Who knows? Depends on the day. Remember, 10 minutes, he reminded them, not really caring about Duncan's glare as he left to seemingly get ready for the challenge. Don't worry, we have Eva to help if it's a physical challenge, right? Katie asked, looking over to Eva, who was actually sporting a bit of a smirk as she looked up from her oatmeal once noticing everyone's eyes were on her. Yeah, I can help make up for those two since they did help us win the last challenge. That's what teammates do, right? She told them, smirking a bit at Naruto, who could feel the slight teasing in her tone. Eva teasing ya? Good for her, he thought as he smirked back at her with a chuckle as they did their best to finish up breakfast in time. They were just told to walk along the beach by the camera crew and that they'd know it when they saw it, and that was definitely the case. It was kind of hard to miss a large court with see-through walls and bleachers on the beach. Seems it is physical, perfect, Eva said with a grin as she popped her knuckles, making the other team a bit nervous as they walked inside. Once inside, Duncan quickly flopped down onto the bleachers with a loud thud, though the punk didn't seem to care in the slightest. Wake me up and it'll be the last thing you do, Duncan threatened them before putting his face back down onto the bleachers. Don't worry, we should be fine since we do have one more person than the Gophers, DJ said since he could understand Duncan not wanting to be bothered. He was one of the final 3 in the last challenge after all. This is all your fault, you know, Courtney started as she narrowed her eyes at Harold with her hands on her hips. You and your snoring face, she told him as she jabbed her finger on his chest. It's called a medical condition. Gosh, Harold told her, yelling the last bit, which made a lot of people nearby shrink a bit due to him getting in Courtney's face to yell. Easy there, Napoleon Dynamite. No need to yell your catchphrase at us, or next time you snore you might find your sleeping bag in a canoe this time, and not just on the porch. Naruto warned with a hard glare since yelling like that at Courtney, scaring Katie, Sadie, and Bridget in the process was not cool. Thankfully he got the warning as Harold shrunk back and scooted away from them, nodding slightly, which made the girls smile at him a bit before a loud whistle went off and Chef, in referee gear, walked past them. Today's challenge is the classic game of Dodgeball, Chris started to explain once Chef was beside him. The first rule of Dodgeball is do not talk about Dodgeball, Chris continued to say before Noah cut him off, getting chuckles from several people who understood the reference. As I was saying, Chris continued, ignoring Noah's comment. If you get hit with the ball, you're out, he said as he threw the ball at Courtney, hitting her in the gut and sending her back a bit. You okay there? Naruto asked as he was quick to catch her before she fell down, getting her to weakly smile up at him as he set her back on her feet. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks Naruto, Courtney told him with a soft blush, finding being in his arms to be rather something before she shook herself out of it and looked back at Chris. But hey! You can't do that! Courtney told him before she yelled at Chris and threw the ball back at him only for him to catch it. If you catch the ball, the thrower is out and the catcher gets to bring in a team member out on the court, Chris continued to explain before he tossed up a ball into the air. Now Jeff, try and hit me, he told the party boy who seemingly waited for his cue. If you are holding a ball you can use it to deflect a ball, but if it knocks the ball out of your hands you're out, he told them before Lindsay rose her hand. So, what do I do again when the ball comes at me? Lindsay asked confused before Chris gave Jeff a signal for him to throw. You dodge! Chris yelled as he deflected the ball thrown by Jeff back at Lindsay. Chris fully expected it to hit the airhead blonde only for a hand to shoot out at the last second and grab it, keeping it from hitting her. Or you catch it. Think you got it, Lindsay? Naruto asked her with a smile as she and the others stared in shock as his hand was mere centimeters from her face to show he had just saved her from being hit in the face. Why yeah, I think I do, Lindsay said in a slightly dreamy tone from being saved like that, smiling up at Naruto as he tossed the ball to his other hand, shook the hand he caught it with, and threw it back at Chris, who in turn got hit square in the gut. Oh wow, why you have 1 minute before the first game starts, Chris said, clearly winded and a bit hurt from the throw before he cleared his throat and straightened himself. Due to the base having one team member more than the Gophers and the Gophers having lost the last challenge, they get to choose one base member to only be able to participate in one game. 5 people per team, now get ready, he told them, getting annoyed looks from the base and smiles from the Gophers before he walked off. So it's going to be obvious who they are going to pick, but really, it's between two choices, Bridget said as she looked at Naruto and Eva, the latter looking more annoyed by it. One is speed and power while the other is just raw insane power, Sadie commented with a giggle as Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head embarrassed while Eva crossed her arms with a proud smirk on her face. Whichever they choose, we still need a strategy, and I think I got something to test the waters, Courtney said as they huddled together, and she told them a bit of what she had in mind, which honestly was a bit of a mind game that they knew they could back up. As Chef blew the whistle, telling them their 1 minute was up, he looked over to the Gophers for their answer. We've decided! Eva will be the one to only be able to be used for one game, Heather announced to Chef, seemingly having talked it over with her team and came to an agreement. TCH, like I care. Just means you're afraid of me. Personally, I'm flattered, Eva said with a shrug of her shoulders before sitting down next to where Duncan was laying down at. Won't make much of a difference as we'll still cream you, she added as the first 5 of their team walked out onto the court. For starters, they had agreed to go with their light members, consisting of DJ, Courtney, Katie, Tyler, and Harold. It had been the start of Courtney's plan, as one game was a decent sacrifice to see what the Gophers' start was going to be. The Gophers, from where Naruto was sitting next to Bridget, seemed to be a bit of a mix with some weaker members like Lindsay and Cody, mixed in with strong and smarter ones like Leshwana and Heather with a screwball of Izzy added in. Bring it on, fishies. If you think you can win 3 in a row, then you got another thing coming to you, Heather goaded with a smirk, giving a come-at-me wiggle with her finger while eyeing them down. Oh, you're going down! We're gonna bring the dinner to the table and then we're gonna eat it, Tyler said, trying his best to trash talk only for everyone on his team, even Harold, to face palm or roll their eyes at. Both teams ready? Best out of 5 games wins. Now let's dodge some ball. Chris started them off before Chef blew the whistle to officially start the first match. Cody was the first to go for a throw, trying to go for Tyler only to miss. Tyler seemingly went into serious mode as he narrowed his eyes only to start spinning around in a circle, potentially trying to use centrifugal force to make his throw stronger, only to let go at the wrong time and send a ball flying directly at Sadie and knocking her off her seat. That'll smear the makeup, Chris said with a chuckle while Naruto and Bridget helped her up. Great job, now let's see if you can hit someone on their team, Courtney yelled as she put another ball into a sheepish-looking Tyler's hands. Though as Izzy quickly pounced, throwing a ball fast at Tyler and hitting him square in the face at high speed, he didn't get to use it as he fell back a bit and out of the ring. Ow! Tyler winced as Chef blew his whistle and he limped over to the bleachers, not noticing the somewhat smug look on Sadie's face as she rubbed her cheek, which no one blamed her for. Okay, Tyler is benched for the other games with that poor performance, Eva said with a roll of her eyes as everyone nodded a bit. Time to unleash my wicked skills, Harold announced, a driven look on his face as Leshwana rolled her eyes at it. Yeah? Well, bring it, String Bean, let's see what you got, Leshwana goaded, walking closer to him with her arms spread out to clearly let him have a free shot at her. But, like Tyler, it was clear from the start that Harold wasn't going to work as he balanced the ball on his knee as he stood on one foot with his arms stretched out like a bird only to grab the ball with both hands, take one step forward, and slam the ball on the ground. This literally did nothing as it bounced back down and slowly rolled towards Leshwana, who picked it up and smirked at Harold. That was enough to make Harold scream like a literal little girl before she pegged him hard in the back, also sending him skidding out of the ring. And that is 2 people benched for later games, Jeff suggested with even nodding in agreement, as given she and Naruto were the most athletic, Courtney had asked them to see who would and wouldn't work in later matches. Can someone tell me what I'm supposed to do with this again? Lindsay asked, walking forward a bit with a ball in her hands before Katie threw hers and pegged Lindsay in the head, knocking her over. Naruto had to wince a bit as he noticed a bump forming on her cheek as she walked off the court. He felt a bit bad as she seemed a bit upset before he smiled and gave her a thumbs up once she looked his way, which thankfully seemed to cheer her up. He though quickly had to catch a ball that got sent flying at him, raising an eyebrow as he looked over to see Heather's arms still in the motion of having thrown it. What the heck was that? Rev, he's not even on the court! Courtney yelled, upset that Heather would attempt something like that for whatever reason before Chef looked over at Heather with a raised eyebrow. Whoopsie, slipped, Heather said in a fake accidental tone which Courtney and others weren't buying, while it only making Courtney more upset as she picked up a ball and threw it at Heather. Heather gasped and let out a grunt as the ball pegged her in the face, not knocking her over but jolting her head back. Whoopsie, slipped, Courtney mocked back at her with a smirk, only making Heather glare as she stomped off the court. Izzy was next to get out, her ball being caught by Katie with Leshwana then taking Courtney out. After that, Leshwana was the next to drop out as Katie and DJ teamed up on her, her only able to block one shot before the other hit her square in the gut. With only Cody left, it was pretty easy for DJ and Katie to take him out, which spelled pretty well for the base, as even with their weaker members they were able to win the first round. *1. Nice job, everyone! That was great! Bridget told them as Katie and DJ walked back, Sadie quickly hugging her friend as Naruto and Jeff fist bumped DJ. Yeah, you guys didn't do half bad, but don't get complacent. We still have to keep at it, Eva told them, getting them a bit pumped up as Chef blew his whistle to show them they had to pick their 5. Next round the Gophers went with Beth, Trent, Izzy, Lindsay, and Justin, while the base went with Katie, Sadie, Bridget, Jeff, and Courtney. Both Eva and Courtney wanted to save him for a later round as, alongside Eva, he was another ace in the hole. You know, I don't mind honestly since I'm still a bit waking up, Naruto said as he stretched and yawned while Eva nodded beside him. Hence why you aren't playing. We need you full batteries when you go out, which is also why we aren't waking Duncan up despite him probably being good at stuff like this, Eva explained, glancing over to the sleeping punk who was still completely out like a light. The game actually went pretty good, Sadie getting Justin out with Bridget catching Beth's ball to get her out. Though, everything seemingly started going downhill as Chef pointed at Tyler and motioned for him to get in the ring. What? No! Put in DJ, not Tyler! Courtney yelled as Chef shook his head with a smirk. Sorry girlie, but I choose who goes in, not you brats. Now continue the game, he ordered, blowing his whistle to start the game again. Tyler seemingly hadn't even heard Courtney's complaint as he ran through their side of the court, picking up and snatching 5 dodgeballs with a determined look on his face. No, no, no! Stop him! Eva yelled out, Jeff trying to before he had to jump back as Tyler started spinning again. The first ball that shot out hit Chef in the guy, the larger man not too affected more than just being confused what was going on, while the next nearly missed Chris, who ducked in time. Hey! Watch the face, dude! Chris yelled out with a glare, not happy about nearly being hit. After that, the next one flew at the Gophers' bleachers, causing everyone to dive out of the way to avoid being hit. The last 2, however, flew out at the same time, both of them hitting Lindsay one after another in the face. The first made her jolt back while the second one knocked her down and got Chef to blow his whistle. Finally! Courtney exclaimed, glad that despite the chaos that was Tyler, he at least hit someone on the court. Both of you are out! Lindsay for getting hit and Tyler for hitting her twice, as well as everyone who wasn't in the game, Chef announced, making Tyler shrink a bit before Lindsay hobbled off the court, her face swelling and making it hard for her to see before she nearly fell over. Easy there, Lindsay, wrong set of bleachers and you nearly took another spill, Naruto told her, surprising her, as he kept her from falling over. Here, let's get you some ice. Does that sound okay? He suggested while he stood up and helped her back to her feet. Yeah, that sounds great, Lindsay told him with a slight dreaminess to her tone as she smiled up at him, getting him to chuckle as he looked over to Chris. Hey Chris, I'm going to go take Lindsay to get some ice, that okay? Naruto asked the host, getting a raised eyebrow before he shrugged his shoulders. Sure thing, man, just be back in time for the next game. I'll radio the camera guys when it's close to starting as we need a few minutes to collect the balls Tyler flung all over the place, the host told them with a sigh, as when Tyler had almost hit him and the Gophers, both of those balls had knocked over carts of dodgeballs as well. No! Hey, you can't go off with someone from the other team like that. You are so close to being out of the alliance, Heather yelled after them, getting Naruto to raise an eyebrow at her. Chill, Heather, I'm just helping someone injured and last I checked there are no rules against that, right? He asked, looking past Heather to Chris, who nodded. Also, if I were you, I wouldn't yell about an alliance for everyone to hear, he whispered with a chuckle, winking at her before walking off with a happily smiling Lindsay. Get some ice from my fridge, but I swear if anything is out of place you are getting skinned, pretty boy, Chef yelled at him, making Naruto look over his shoulder and salute at him. Sir, yes sir, he told Chef before they walked out of the glass box that the dodgeball court was in. Lindsay was all smiles and giggles as she walked beside Naruto. She had talked to him a good bit since arriving at camp. He was so nice to her when they talked, whether it being him just helping her or them talking about various things. Plus he was hot, so that only made it all the more better. Well, someone seems happy despite the swelling, Naruto teased, making her blush and giggle a bit at. Sorry, I'm just happy right now, Lindsay said, smiling over at him and hugging his arm while bouncing happily. Naruto blushed darkly as he had to look away, not only due to the softness of her breasts as she hugged his arm, but also due to the sight of them bouncing a bit. You'd think a girl with her size would be more careful, he thought as he coughed into his fist. Careful there, Lindsay, you're kind of pressing against me, he told her quietly, subtly pointing down to her breasts, which only got her to cutely tilt her head in confusion and look down before giggling and hugging him tighter. Oh, it's okay. You helped me yesterday, so I don't mind, she told him with an innocent smile, which only made him blush more as he continued walking with her and trying not to look too much. But boy, was it hard. Here you go, just hold that against your face a bit, and it should help, he told her as he put a baggie of ice that was wrapped in a paper towel against her face before she put her hand over his and took over holding it. Thanks, Nathan, you really are so sweet and kind, even though I'm not on the same team as you, she said with a dreamy sigh as she looked at him with her one good eye. It's not like I'm doing anything special, just helping someone out who needed it. I don't really care that you are on a different team, since that shouldn't stop people from helping like this. Also, my name is Naruto, he explained while he sat on one of the tables, Lindsay sitting in beside him. That's why you are so nice. You are also really nice to Gwen as well, you two talk a lot, Lindsay said with an innocent smile, it turning a bit mischievous as she noticed his blush. Oh my gosh, you like her, she yelled, making him quickly cover her mouth with a blush which made her let out a muffled giggle at. It's not like that. She's just interesting, that's all, he muttered as he took his hand off her mouth, her big smile only making his blush darken a bit. Lindsay could only giggle, finding it cute how he was reacting. She is so lucky to have someone like you like her, she told him before putting her head against his shoulder as she leaned against him. Hey guys, the second match ended with the Gophers winning. Chris wants you back, a cameraman said, making Naruto silently grateful that this conversation about who he might like was over. He didn't quite mind talking about his feelings, but doing that with another girl, the girl being Lindsay, who was incredibly attractive, he felt a bit odd about it. Oh yay! We won! Lindsay cheered, bouncing excitedly and clapping her hands and once again giving Naruto an eyeful of her chest bouncing. Oh wait, sorry. That probably wasn't nice of me to do around you, she muttered as that meant Naruto's team lost. Lindsay, you can be happy about your team winning. Don't worry, he told her as he patted her arm, which made her smile and hug his arm again. Thanks, you really are super nice, she told him once more while she gave his arm a squeeze against her chest, which caused him to grow nearly as dark as his hair before he started to walk out of the mess hall, making Lindsay follow with a smile. He felt a bit nervous as he walked back into the dodgeball court, Lindsay still on his arm as he walked her back to her set of bleachers since she was still a bit wobbly. Now just try not to get hit in the face anymore, he said with a chuckle as she nodded with a smile. Okay, I'll try my best, Lindsay said with a bit of a frown as she really didn't know why everything was trying to hit her in the face today. So, what was that all about? Gwen asked from behind him, getting him to jump a bit before he turned around to see Gwen standing there with her arms crossed and a bit of a frown on her face. What? Oh, the hugging on my arm thing? He asked as Gwen nodded and he chuckled a bit. That was Lindsay's choice as she was a bit wobbly. I offered to hold onto my arm and she took it as hugging it, he told her as he felt telling her she just started hugging his arm would feel odd. But then again it was Lindsay, so he felt maybe that'd be okay, though he didn't want to take chances since Gwen didn't look happy. Why'd you go with her and do that anyways? Gwen asked, looking up at him with a raised eyebrow while still frowning. 'Cause she was injured and nearly fell on me. Wait, don't tell me you're jealous? Naruto asked with a big smile, it only growing as Gwen widened her eyes and actually started to blush. What? No! That's stupid! Get back to your side already! Gwen stuttered before she quickly started to push him back to his team's bleachers while he slowly let her push him. Fine, no need to push or protest so much, he teased, looking over his shoulder to give her a wink which only made her push her harder before turning and stomping off once he got to his team's bleachers. Gosh, you are so lucky to have someone like Ned like you, Gwen. He is like so hot. You two would be so cute together, and you totally like him back, right? Lindsay told her, getting Gwen's blush to only grow as she, a bit frantically, tried to wave Lindsay's comment off. What? I don't like him like that, and he so doesn't like me like that. You said it yourself, he's hot while I'm just me, Gwen told her with a sigh before she walked off and plopped back on her seat, crossing her arms with a frown. She felt a bit upset as even if she did like him, she doubted his actions with her were anything more than popular guy being a bit friendly and flirty with every girl type thing that she had seen at her high school before. Whoa dude, what did you do to make Gwen so upset? Jeff asked as he and a few others had watched her stomp off and could see her a bit upset on her team's bleachers. She isn't angry, you guys wouldn't understand, Courtney told them as it was rather obvious, given she was a girl. But that seriously isn't important right now, she yelled, changing subjects while she walked over to Naruto and looked him in the eyes. Did you tell that blonde gopher any of our secrets? She asked before he shook his head. I gave her some ice for her bumps. We talked about like one non-challenge related thing, and then we came back. Nothing more, he told her, looking her back in the eyes before she accepted it with a nod. Good cause you are going in this round. Stay on your toes and don't get cocky, Eva told him as she jabbed her finger at his chest while glaring at him. Don't worry, I won't let you all down, he told them both before he, Jeff, Katie, Bridget, and DJ went out on the court with Heather, Gwen, Trent, Izzy, and Leshwana coming out for the Gophers. Seems we are destined to fight, you and I. Naruto teased Gwen a bit with a smirk as Gwen rolled her eyes but was unable to hold back a bit of a smile. Yeah, but I'm not afraid to hurl a ball at your face, she told him, getting him to chuckle. Well, bring it on, he replied, giving her a come-on motion with his hands as Chef blew his whistle. Once the game started, he was quick to knock up a ball from the ground with his foot so he could grab it without bending over, wasting no time before he threw it at Heather. The speed of all this and how relaxed he was about it shocked and surprised everyone a bit as he stepped back with a shrug. What can I say? I was a beast at this in high school, he told them before he dodged a throw by Izzy. With that, the game was on with Trent responding and taking out Katie, trying to go for two with another shot taken at Bridget only for her to catch it and get him out and have Bridget call in Sadie. Thankfully, it seemed Chef had allowed the teams to decide who they called in after the Tyler incident. From the Gophers' side, Leshwana was next to get taken out by Sadie, with Gwen quickly getting revenge for it. Naruto, though, focused on trying to peg down Izzy since she was nearly as unpredictable as he was, dodging his throws and making him dodge hers and the others. Then again, given how fast he took out Heather, it wasn't surprising. The balls were flying especially fast this match, DJ and Jeff quickly getting taken out by Izzy while Sadie got taken out by Gwen catching a ball thrown at her. Look, if we are to take them out, we have to get Izzy first since she is the wild card, Naruto told Bridget as things calmed down a bit, balls in their hands as the other side seemingly looked ready to throw at a moment's notice. You think you can get her? Bridget asked, not taking her eyes off the other side as Izzy bounced like a boxer and Gwen was eyeing down Naruto. Maybe you get Gwen and it'll make this easier. I can keep Izzy pinned down a bit to help, Naruto told her before nodding and quickly throwing a ball at Izzy and diving to grab another nearby to throw at her. Izzy had to leap back twice to dodge Naruto's throws, frowning as she saw Bridget readying a throw at Gwen as she seemed focused on trying to get Naruto out. Izzy barely was able to throw her ball at Bridget before a ball thrown from Naruto hit her in the gut. It was a triple knockout, it seemed, as Izzy, Bridget, and Gwen all got out at nearly the exact same time, with Bridget getting Gwen, Izzy getting Bridget, and Naruto getting Izzy. Whoa man! That was insane! Chris yelled as he was clearly loving the action and intensity of the match. Glad we impressed, Naruto said as he gave a bow before walking back to the others, quickly having to catch Courtney as she leapt at him to hug him. You were amazing, Naruto! If we put you and Eva in the next match, we can definitely win this without even needing a fifth match, Courtney told him as she hugged him tightly, her arms around his neck and her face somewhat buried in his chest while his arms went to her hips. As she looked up, though, she quickly grew a dark blush and let go of him, stepping back and coughing into her fist. Sorry, the intensity of the moment got to me, she muttered, a bit embarrassed before he waved her off. Don't worry about it, excitement runs high, and you were just happy for a win, Naruto assured her, blushing a bit to himself as he wondered what was up with the girls today, before Jeff draped his arm over his shoulder with a smirk. We are going to murder them in this round. 5 games really won't be needed when we decimate them, Jeff cheered, getting everyone to cheer alongside him. Base, are you ready? Chris asked, getting them to look amongst themselves with Naruto and Eva looking at each other and smirking before they turned to nod to Chris. Oh yeah, we're ready, Eva told him as she cracked her knuckles and walked out alongside Naruto, Jeff, Bridget, and DJ. Oh come on! You can't use Eva right now! Heather yelled in protest before Eva smirked back at her. All Chris said was that I can only play in 1 game, never said it had to be the 5th round. Come on, Gophers, let's see what you are made of. Eva goaded them while popping her neck and staring them down, easily intimidating them. The Gophers were a bit afraid, save for Izzy, who looked exhilarated, as she alongside Leshwana, Cody, Trent, and Heather walked out. Remember, don't get cocky and stay on your toes. I don't want to waste my only turn in this stupid challenge, Eva warned them, getting a determined look from them all as they nodded to her, and she smiled as the whistle blew. Naruto used the same trick as before to get a ball quickly to his hands, only this time he tossed it over to Eva, who quickly threw it at Cody with enough force to send the team flying back to hit the back wall hard. So, who's next? Eva growled out as she clutched another ball that was tossed over to her only for it to pop in her hands. The Gophers were smart, trying to go for Eva, but Eva wasn't an easy target. She could dodge and block easily, getting Trent out by catching his ball and then throwing it out at Leshwana to take her out. Heather was easy to take out, still a bit shocked by how powerfully Eva had taken Cody out only to get hit by her as well. The base basically decided to let Eva have free go of this round, mainly trying to stay out of her way and toss her a ball when she needed it. It didn't take long before literally only Izzy was left on the Gophers' side, since she was the hardest to hit. Though Izzy didn't go just for Eva, she was actually able to take out Bridget and DJ while Eva was taking out the rest of her team. It wasn't until Eva looked at Naruto did he get the message to help her, quickly picking up a ball and throwing it at Izzy, getting her to dodge and allow Eva to get a clear shot just as she jumped to the side. And with that it was over. Yes! There we go! Courtney cheered from the sideline with her other team cheering alongside her. Eva, that was insane! You killed it out there! Jeff yelled as he patted her on the back with a big smile. Yeah, that was so cool! You were like a one-woman army! DJ complimented her, since he was also amazed by how she just took them all out on her own without even barely batting an eye. Eva felt a bit embarrassed, alongside proud, as they complimented her. She was never really used to stuff like this. Most of the time people avoided her or were scared of her. Being a welcome member of a team and celebrated like this was incredibly new to her. Well, you know what this means. Hot tub celebration! Naruto cheered, surprising everyone as he hoisted Eva up to where she was sitting, half on his shoulder and half on his bicep. Eva blushed a bit as Naruto lifted her, not expecting this at all, as she grabbed onto him a bit for support before his forearm went over one of her thighs to help stabilize her. Easy there, Eva, I won't let you fall, he told her, looking up at her with a smile as she could only nod back with a blush on her face. The rest of the base cheered in agreement at the hot tub celebration idea, as why have a hot tub if they didn't use it more often? Gophers? You two just got clobbered by the base, what happened? Chris asked as he watched the base leave the court, still celebrating and hoisting Eva up. What can I say? Weak effort, Noah said with a weak shrug of his shoulders, getting raised eyebrows and upset looks from everyone as from the start he had been very much sports aren't my forte. Oh, shut up, Noah! Gwen told him before she got up and stomped away with Heather standing up next with her hands on her hips. You know what, for once I actually agree with her, Heather said as she walked off with the rest of the team following her and leaving him alone on the bench, not picking up why they were upset. Campfire, later that night. Campers, you already placed your votes and made your decision. One of you will be going home and you can't come back ever, Chris told them as he stood across from the screaming Gophers, the campfire between them as he held a plate with 9 marshmallows on it. When you hear me call your name, come pick up a marshmallow, he explained as one by one he started to list off names. He started with Izzy, then went on to Gwen, and so on until only Lindsay and Noah remained. And the final marshmallow goes to, Chris said, pausing for dramatic effect. Lindsay, he declared, getting the blonde to jump up excitedly and run over. What are you kidding me? Noah yelled in shock, having expected Lindsay to get voted off due to being useless in this challenge and having walked off with a member of the other team. Whatever. See if I care. You just voted off the only person with brains on this team, Noah yelled before shielding himself as he was pelted with marshmallows. And you need to learn a little thing called respect, turkey. Leshwana clapped back as she dusted off her hands with a stern glare on her face before Noah rolled his eyes and walked off towards the dock of shame. Back at camp, Naruto smiled as he sat next to Eva in the hot tub, Eva still being a bit nervous about all of this while everyone celebrated around her. Relax, Eva. Enjoy it as you won us this victory, since I doubt I would have been able to win if I was in the next round. Heather's smart, so she would have figured out a way around my a bit. You were a beast, he told her, patting her on the back as she nodded and stared down into the cup of soda she was holding. Yeah, I guess you are right. I should enjoy it, she told him with a smile before they noticed the Gophers returning to camp. Hey, who'd you guys vote out? Jeff asked as he got out of the hot tub and dried off to let the next person in. It was between Lindsay for walking off with your team member and Noah for doing nothing. We went with Noah, Heather explained, narrowing her eyes at Naruto a bit as he rolled his eyes in response with a groan. Seriously, you nearly voted Lindsay off just for me helping her when she was hurt? You guys gotta relax a bit, Naruto told them while he looked at them with a flat look. Oh shush, Heather, none of us were going to vote off Lindsay. You're just saying that cause of your stupid alliance, Leshwana revealed as she, and the others, couldn't care less about her alliance given who the two members were. Now if it was an alliance with powerful people, then they'd get worried. Well, I'm glad the rest of you understand. Wouldn't want someone voted off for a stupid reason because of me, he commented, smiling and waving to Lindsay as she walked in, which got the blonde to happily wave back. Naruto though frowned as he noticed Gwen's frown as she looked at him before she turned and walked away. I'll be right back, guys. Save an orange soda for me, *2, Naruto told them as he hopped out of the hot tub and jogged after Gwen. Hey Gwen! Hold up! He called out to her, barely getting her to stop as she walked alongside Leshwana. What do you want? Gwen said in a short tone, getting Naruto to frown as he rubbed his arm. I don't know, hoping we could talk? I feel like you are upset at me, and I'll admit I'm dense at times, but if I did something to upset you, I want to know so I can not do it anymore? He told her a bit unsure, as he had no real idea what he did to get her this upset at him. Gwen frowned as she sighed, beating herself up inside a bit as she realized just how she was acting. It's nothing with you, it's just me being stupid, and a girl, she muttered before she looked up at him. Trust me, you are a really nice guy, so you didn't do anything, promise, she assured him before he nodded, still looking a bit unsure before Leshwana patted Gwen on the back with a smirk. Trust me, sugar, if you did something wrong I'd be the first to tell you. You're fine, so go back to enjoying your hot tub party, but you'd better let me in there one of these days, as I was made to look good in a hot tub, Leshwana told him with a wink, getting him to chuckle and smile before giving her a salute. Yes ma'am, whenever you want, he told her before turning to Gwen. So, we good? He asked as Gwen nodded with a smile. Yeah, we're good, she told him before shooing him away, getting a chuckle out of him before he went back towards his team. That boy is too fine for his own good. I mean, did you see those abs? Leshwana asked as she licked her lips while she and Gwen watched him walk away. Oh yeah, wait, no! Stop that! Gwen groaned out as she stomped away with a blush. That white girl has something strong for him, and she definitely ain't the only one, Leshwana thought with a chuckle as she continued walking with a smirk. Everything okay? Bridget asked as Naruto slipped back into the hot tub, her handing him an orange soda with a smile. Yeah, just realizing girls are confusing, he told her with a smirk, getting her to giggle and pat him on the arm. Trust me, I know what you mean. Just be careful, she told him, since to the other girls it was obvious there was something going on between him and Gwen, alongside other girls being into him, as those abs and muscles were something else. Today had to be extra hectic for him, as Lindsay, as well as Courtney and Eva, were also getting close to him. Naruto could only sigh as he opened his soda. Yeah, we'll see how well that goes, he muttered, thinking that maybe tomorrow would be less huggy. Alright, campers. Enough beauty sleep. Time to show us what you're made of. Come directly to the amphitheater for the next challenge. Chris's voice yelled over the intercom, making everyone in camp who wasn't awake already groan in annoyance. Great, what a wonderful way to wake up in the morning, Naruto groaned out while he struggled to push himself up out of bed. Hey, at least we had a few days in between challenges this time, Jeff said, trying to look on the bright side before Naruto hopped out of bed and stretched, his back cracking a few times with another groan. Yeah, hopefully that trend continues, Duncan growled out, still annoyed at the last time Chris sprung a physical challenge on them after the awake-a-thon of all things. Whatever, best not to keep the short man waiting, Naruto told them with a smirk, getting a few chuckles from the guys around him. Morning, fellow base, how dead are all of you this morning? Naruto asked with a flat tone as the girls filed out of their side of the cabin a bit after them. I want to strangle something. Does that answer your question? Eva growled out with a glare before she clenched his fists and sighed. Sorry, she muttered with a frown while Naruto waved her off. Don't worry about it, Eva, trust me, no one likes getting woken up this early. Especially not like that, Naruto told her, smiling as Eva smiled a bit before she blushed and quickly stomped past him. Yeah, well, we better get moving, she said shortly as she continued to walk off. She seems not as mad, or is it just my imagination? DJ asked with a confused look before Courtney patted the tall teen on the shoulder. She is getting better at controlling her anger, don't tell her I told you, but she asked for my help. Naruto really was right about her, Courtney said as she smiled over to Naruto. I might not be the smartest book smarts wise, but I do know people pretty damn well, Naruto said with a smirk while he pushed up a pair of imaginary glasses, getting DJ and Courtney to roll their eyes at him with smirks of their own. Okay, Dr. Freud, whatever you say, DJ told him while he and Courtney started to push him towards the amphitheater, while he focused on cleaning his imaginary glasses with his shirt. One by one everyone seemed to arrive, the base sitting on one set of bleachers and the Gophers on the other. Naruto smiled as he noticed Lindsay excitedly waving at him, having to really focus on not staring at her chest as it bounced while he waved back. Gwen's wave was less bouncy than Lindsay's, but the slight smile showed she was fine this morning despite the dead look she had mere seconds before. Oh, are we going to see a musical? I love musicals, especially the ones with singing and dancing, Lindsay said with hopeful tone as she looked around, once again giving Naruto a wave with a flirty wink. A wink that didn't go unnoticed by a few girls, Heather the most annoyed by it as she glared at Lindsay, the blonde girl quickly gaining an apologetic look on her face. Heather definitely seemed annoyed, sharply turning her head and whacking Lindsay in the face with her ponytail, and causing Lindsay to pull a strand of hair out of her mouth. Welcome to our brand new deluxe state-of-the-art outdoor amphitheater. Chris welcomed them as he walked out on stage, getting several raised eyebrows as patchwork curtains, rickety-looking floorboards, and lighting held together by ropes did not scream any of that. This week's challenge is a summer camp favorite, a talent contest, he revealed as Naruto winced and shook his head. Ow, having cringy summer camp flashbacks to stuff I've seen. Make it stop! Naruto groaned out as he rubbed his head like he had an ice cream headache before leaning back on his seat with a smirk, getting some laughs from various contestants. Well then you'd better do your best not to end up like them, Chris said with a smirk before looking to each set of bleachers. Each team has 8 hours to pick the 3 most talented campers. These 3 will represent them in the show tonight. Sing, dance, juggle, anything goes as long as it's legal. He continued, giving Duncan an "I'm watching you" gesture which got the punk to snap his fingers as if that ruined all his plans. You'll be judged by our resident talent scout, former DJ, VJ, and rap legend Grandmaster Chef, who will show his approval via the Chef-O-meter. As always, the team that loses will send a camper home tonight. Good luck, the host said before walking off stage and leaving the 2 teams to go amongst themselves. Gophers. Okay, I'm the team captain, so here's how it's going to work, Heather declared, standing in front of her after she blew her whistle. Wait, who said you were team captain? Gwen asked, not aware when or how this had gone down. She did just now, Lindsay said with her childlike naivete making her oblivious to what Gwen meant. Lindsay, Beth, and I took a vote and I won, Heather explained, which only got an eye roll from Gwen. Threatening them to vote for you or else you'd throw them out of your little alliance isn't exactly democratic, Gwen told her, annoyed and tired of how Heather had been acting for the last few challenges, as well as having to act like she didn't know about their alliance. Which was something everyone in camp knew about due to none of them knowing how to be secretive for the most part. Hey, snagged you this extra muffin, Trent whispered to her, somewhat interrupting her discussion with Heather before Heather pounced, so to speak. Trent, you don't mind me leading this project, do you? Heather asked with the sweetest tone she could muster. Right on, go for it, Trent replied with a shrug of his shoulders, his tone showing that he didn't care about it. Good. Beth, Lindsay, and I will be the judges, Heather explained now that she had complete lead over this with half the votes towards her. Whatever, Gwen groaned out with a scoff, officially not caring any more in the slightest before she sat back down, set the muffin she had been given beside her, and opened back up her diary. Bass. Okay girls, nice effort, but that is more just dancing you do in front of a mirror. Cute, but we need something more solid, Courtney told both Katie and Sadie as they performed what they called was a dance routine, but was more just the 2 of them randomly dancing side by side on their own. Well, we already know one act, don't we? Duncan asked as he pointed behind him to Naruto, who was snacking on a muffin while leaning back against a tree stump. Of course he was going to be one of the 3 acts, if he's okay with that. You are okay with it, right? Courtney asked, since she didn't want to be pushy or forceful on things, especially given Naruto's skills on the guitar could possibly secure them the win for this challenge. I mean, I'm always down for rocking out. Just keep in mind that their team has an acoustic guitar. Not saying our music will clash or anything, I'm just thinking my music is best served as the closing act, if that's okay with you all, Naruto suggested, getting everyone to nod since it made sense to them. He does have a point. Trent will probably play his guitar as well, so Naruto needs to pick a song that really rocks out. You got any ideas? Jeff asked while Naruto rubbed his chin in thought. I have a few, but don't worry, I'll pick something killer, he assured them, giving them a rock-on-hand gesture while banging it a few times, which got the guys to smirk at. Oh, he's got this in the bag, Tyler said with a smirk while the girls hoped that was true but had faith in him not to let them down. Gophers. So are you going to audition? Trent asked Gwen as Heather was busy talking with Lindsay and Beth. Doubtful, you should be in this though. I mean, if the other team has Naruto, it only makes sense to fight guitar with guitar, Gwen suggested just as Heather turned around. I guess you're right. That at least settles one act, but we have to figure out the rest, Heather said before noticing Gwen getting up and leaving. Where are you going? She asked, not wanting another Lindsay incident where one of her teammates went off with someone from the opposite team. Anywhere that's not here, plus it's not like I'm needed. I don't have a talent, and even if I did, I'm not doing anything on stage, Gwen told her while she kept walking off, not caring what Heather might say in response. Bass. Man, that is weak, Chris commented, randomly having been walking by just in time to see Tyler wrap himself up in his yo-yo seconds after rolling it out. Also, how long is that string? Naruto muttered to Bridget, the 2 of them wondering how that worked given how many times it had wrapped around Tyler. Gophers. The others watched as Heather performed her ballet routine, classical music playing in the background while gracefully dancing. As the music ended, Heather smiled as everyone clapped for her. Thank you. Heather said with a smile before she cleared her throat, glaring over at Lindsay and Beth, who finally remembered what they were supposed to do. Oh, right! I vote for Heather to be in the contest, Lindsay said while Beth excitedly nodded beside her. I second that, Beth said before Heather smiled and put her hand on her chest. Guys, that is so sweet, she said, acting surprised before ditching it and moving on to business. Okay, with that done and Trent also, and why don't we all take 5 before we figure out the last act? Heather told them before everyone walked off for the break. Bass. Okay, that was actually pretty good, I have to admit. Eva grumbled as she had to agree once DJ got done with his ribbon twirling. At first she wanted to scoff at him dressed in a white leotard, but watching was actually relaxing and nice. Then there, that is 2 out of 3. Next, Courtney said, hoping this alongside Naruto's guitar and whatever came next would be enough to win them the challenge. Oh me! I can stand on my hands for 20 minutes, Bridget quickly told them before she got into a handstand. That's interesting, but do we know how long we each get per act? Naruto asked, tilting his head to the side before pseudo having it upside down by turning his body to the side a bit to watch as Bridget stood upside down, smirking at her as she playfully stuck her tongue out at him. I think I heard him tell Heather about a time limit of 5 to 10 minutes per act since she was putting on a ballet, Katie said as she and Sadie had overheard Heather ask Chris about it. Well, maybe you can showcase it for us later, see if you can really do it for a solid 20 minutes, Courtney said, raising an eyebrow at Bridget and Naruto as they were making weird faces at each other before Bridget remembered others were around and quickly stopped and stood up, her face red with a blush. So who's next? Bridget asked, hoping to get the attention off of her before Harold stepped forward. Next, Courtney quickly yelled moments after he took a deep breath to perform whatever his talent was. She didn't know what it was, but honestly, as bad as it sounded, she didn't want to know given how he was at times. Look, can I suggest myself without sounding arrogant? Courtney asked as she raised her hand from the stump she was sitting on, looking around before everyone shrugged their shoulders, no one really finding it arrogance or anything like that. I can play the violin and I think it'll be a good opening to our acts. Start out with something soft like my music, go to DJ's ribbons, and finish strong with Naruto's rock. I think that'd fit, she suggested, everyone looking to Naruto since he was the most musically talented given all of them had enjoyed him playing his guitar a lot since coming on the island. I think that'd work though, DJ. Do you have any routines that a bit more upbeat with less calming music? We have to make sure the last act isn't too jarring, Naruto told them as going light, and then rock would just feel really off-putting in the end. Yeah, I have some stuff set to some 80s music, DJ said before Naruto gave him a big thumbs up. Perfect. As long as it's upbeat and gets the energy pumping, then I feel we are solid unless someone else has a talent they want to show us, Naruto said, looking around before Jeff held up his hand. I mean, I got my skateboard and can ride it pretty well. Can I at least show it to you dudes in case something, I don't know, comes up? Jeff asked while everyone nodded to show they were okay with it. Sure thing, man. It's bound to be cool to see and we might as well see everything that is worthwhile, Duncan told him, taking a small jab at Harold before Jeff quickly ran off to grab his skateboard. He didn't take long to get back, bursting out the cabin on it as he grinded down the railing. Jeff was actually really good as he slalomed through a few rocks and tree stumps before going around and ramping up a massive rock nearby. He even went a bit further by letting his board spin horizontally under him a few times before landing on it, ramping up a small stump and coming to a stop, kicking his board into the air and catching it. Damn, Jeff, that was intense! Naruto cheered, clapping as everyone else cheered and clapped along with him. Dang, now I wish we could do 4 talents, DJ said with a frown, starting to worry if his ribbon dance wasn't going to be enough. Well, that depends. How good are you in front of people? Katie asked, getting DJ to frown even more. Look, we'll keep you as an act, but if you feel like you can't do it, then Jeff can cover. That should be fine and better than freaking out over it, Eva told him, and while a bit scary for DJ, he understood she was trying to help. Oh sweet, so there is a chance I'm going to be on TV? Jeff asked, which only got confused looks from a few people. You're already on TV, Jeff, Bridget calmly told him, getting Jeff to calm down a bit. Oh yeah, Hello out there, dudes! Jeff yelled as he ran over to a camera, smiling into it only to get everyone to laugh and chuckle a bit at how he was. Well, we have like 7 hours until the challenge, and given we have all the talents plus one, we can relax. Now if that is all settled, I'm going to go. I'm just really in the mood for a swim, honestly. Naruto told the others. Everyone agreeing that there was no need to rush into things as they had two for sure acts, Naruto and Courtney, with the last one depending on how DJ felt. Sweet, if you need me, I'll be relaxing by the docks to think of which song to play, Naruto said with a wave before walking off with a smile. Gophers. Heather sat a bit nervously as Beth twirled her flaming batons, her being the next person to try out after Izzy's super weird dance of the rattlesnake that definitely didn't make the cut. Are you sure this is safe? She asked, moving back a bit as Beth started twirling it closer to her, Lindsay, and Leshwana. It's okay, I've been practicing, Beth assured them with a smile as she kept twirling before she tossed one into the air only to look unsure what to do next and toss the second one into the air. As one started to come back down, Beth though was quick to run, everyone else ducking for cover and tipping over the picnic benches they were sitting on as it came crashing back down and burning a hole into the ground. I kind of missed the catching class, Beth admitted from behind cover before they walked over to the smoking scorched hole in the ground. Guys, the bush is on fire, Trent pointed out, signaling where Beth's second baton had seemingly landed. Justin though seemed to be on top of it, kicking open the door to the bathrooms next to the bush, armed with a fire extinguisher while wearing a pair of aviators and acting quick to put out the fire. He smiled as he accepted a water bottle from Leshwana, ripping off his shirt and taking a drink out of it. All the girls' eyes were drawn to his muscles, watching as a drop of water landed on his chest and sizzled to steam instantly. Okay, so I think it's me, Trent, and Justin, Heather said in a moderately dreamy tone, still affected by the sight as Leshwana was busy fanning herself beside her. Any objections? She asked before happily clapping. Perfect. Then we are all set until the challenge. Don't be late, she told everyone as they all started to walk away. Before Lindsay could get too far, she quickly grabbed her and stopped her. I need you to do something. Can you keep a secret? She asked her, since with what she wanted from her the last thing she needed was to have her blab about it to someone. Oh my gosh! Definitely. My sister got diarrhea once on a date, and I had to bring her toilet paper because restaurant was all out and she was stuck in the bathroom, and I've never told a soul, Lindsay went on before widening her eyes once she remembered she was on camera. Oops, sorry Paula. She apologized while waving to the camera before Heather quickly handed her a walkie-talkie. Here, Gwen is up to something serious and I want you to follow her and report back to me, Heather told her before shoving her off in the direction Gwen walked off towards. Naruto. As Naruto walked back to the cabins, he noticed rose an eyebrow as he saw a bit of a familiar shade of teal poking out from the trees behind the cabin. I figured you'd be on your lonesome out here. You not too interested in the talent competition? Naruto asked, getting her to suddenly look up at him and hide the book she was writing in. Oh, sorry, did I catch you at a bad time? He added with a frown, noticing the slight blush on her cheeks before she shook her head. No, I'm fine, I was just writing, and also no, I'm not too interested in talent competitions, not like writing poetry could be something I showcase on stage, she told him before she scooted over on the large stump she was sitting on as if to invite him to sit beside her. Hey, that's not true, I've been to a few good coffee shops that do events like that and they go over really well, he said, sitting down beside her while she looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Because there are others there who are into that thing. I doubt everyone here would accept or be into it, she muttered, and while he would love to refute it, he had to agree with her on it. Okay, you have a point, which is a shame as I feel your poetry would be really interesting to listen to, he told her with a smile, getting her to smile a bit as well with a blush before she looked away. Any idea what song you are going to play? Gwen asked, wanting to change the topic a bit to something that didn't make her blush. I have like 7 songs I'm thinking of playing and singing. Just got to narrow it down, he said, which got a surprised look from Gwen. What? I can sing too, I just have only played my guitar around here so far. Just playing a guitar would also feel weak for a talent show, I think, he told her before raising an eyebrow as someone else sat down on the stump. I know what you mean. I would have tried to try out for singing, but Heather totally has control over everything, Cody said, getting an unsure look from him and Gwen. I didn't know you sang, Cody? Naruto said, completely unsure what was going on with Cody butting in like this. He knew the kid was crushing hard on Gwen given he wasn't the most subtle, but this definitely wasn't the way to do things. Yeah, totally. I was in my church's youth rock band for a bit before we broke up. Too many people wanted to be lead guitarist. But yeah, I was told I have an amazing voice that the ladies can't resist, Cody insisted, leaning over towards Gwen, who scooted away from him a bit with an uncomfortable look on her face. Hey, I was about to go swimming. You want to join me, Gwen? Naruto asked her after he stood up, wanting to help her out a bit with how obviously uncomfortable she was with how Cody was acting right now. You know what, I was thinking the same thing before you showed up. A dip in the ocean sounds perfect, Gwen told him before grabbing her book and quickly standing up and moving to his side. So what are some of the songs you have in mind? Gwen asked, wanting to keep talking to ignore the fact Cody was following them. I can't spoil the surprise now, can I? You'll have to stick around to the end since I'm the last act on my team, Naruto told her with a wink, getting her to smile and roll her eyes at him before they stopped in front of what looked like a scorched hole in the ground. Whoa, what happened here? Naruto asked as he peered down it a bit to see what looked like a baton at the bottom of it. I don't even want to know, let's just get changed, Gwen said with a sigh, her team tiring her out and she wasn't even around them as they kept walking and eventually got to the cabins. Sup girls, Naruto said, giving a two-finger salute to Heather and Lindsay as Heather was leaning against the railing with a somewhat out-of-breath Lindsay beside her. Hi Nathaniel, Lindsay said in between pants, giving him a fluttering of her fingers as a wave before Heather slapped her arm and made her stop. Be careful, Gwen, don't be hooking up with the enemy, Heather warned her with a glare, getting Gwen to blush and glare back. Oh, bite me, Heather, we're friends and just going swimming. Plus, what possible advantage could he get from it? Oh no, he'll know who three are performing from a girl who wasn't around for the auditions. Better call Chris for interference, Gwen mocked her before turning to Naruto. Just give me a second to get changed, I'll wait for you out here, she told him, quickly ignoring Heather's glare while Naruto waved her off. Oh, I'm good to go. I got my trunks under my pants since I got a craving to swim since I woke up, he told her while subtly pulling up the waistband for his trunks a bit from under his jeans to show her they were on. That's smart, I'll try and be quick, Gwen said with a smile before she walked into her side of the cabins, Naruto rolling his eyes as he grabbed the back of Cody's shirt to keep him from trying to peek. Seriously? Naruto asked with a look of what the hell on his face, getting Cody to look a bit annoyed and unaware what he was getting at. Just give us some space, dude, he told the teen before letting him go just as Gwen walked out in the black strapless top and black spats from the cliff diving challenge. Ready, Gwen told him, raising an eyebrow at how close Cody was to the door before deciding she didn't care and walked over to Naruto. I also grabbed you a towel in case you didn't have one, she added, handing him a gray towel that he accepted with a smile and draped it over his shoulders. Thanks, normally I drip dry but best not to out here unless I want a cold, he said before motioning ahead of him as if to say after you, which made her smile and accept the gesture. Lindsay perked up a bit, smiling as she tried to follow, mainly due to wanting to see Naruto in a swimsuit again, before Heather stopped her. You stay here, we've got a diary to find, Heather told her with a smirk, deciding to use the info Lindsay had just told her to her advantage. As they got to the beach, Naruto was quick to kick off the sandals he was wearing for today, ditching his shirt, and carefully taking off his pants given the last thing he wanted to do was rush and accidentally pull his trunks along with him. As Gwen slowly started to walk towards the ocean, Naruto smirked as he ran by her and onto the docks. He smiled as he turned around, giving her a wink before leaping backwards into the ocean. Gwen could only chuckle a bit and roll her eyes with a smile as she calmly walked into the ocean on her own before swimming over to where he was floating slightly under the docks. Do you ever seem to calm down? Gwen teased him while he rubbed his chin and seemingly was thinking it over. Nah, why? Do you think I need to? He asked with a smirk which got her to chuckle a bit at. My thing is there is time for relaxing and time for a little fun, so why not let loose at times? Makes for more fun overall, he told her before several other guys leapt off the docks above them. Great, seems we have company, Gwen groaned out before Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Never going to be really truly alone when there are 20 people on one island. Doubt they'll bother us too much, he told her, getting a look from Duncan before he shook his head, the punk seemingly getting the signal to leave them alone a bit. Sorry, when you mentioned swimming the guys also felt that would be fun, Courtney said as she dangled her legs over the side of the dock, also in her swimsuit before Bridget paddled over on her surfboard with Eva beside her, seemingly also wanting to swim. A little girl time, plus one dude isn't so bad. Right, Gwen? Bridget asked, getting the goth girl to look around before figuring this was better than the guys splashing her and roughhousing around her. Guess not, Gwen said despite personally just wanting alone time with Naruto. The second that thought entered her head though, Gwen quickly frowned with a blush, shaking her head to get her to stop it. I didn't come here for a stupid showmance. I have to stop it, Gwen thought with a frown as she watched Naruto hold onto the side of Bridget's board, smiling over to her, which only made her smile as well. Crap. So did any of you try out for the stupid talent show? Gwen quickly asked, wanting to get her mind away from the blonde teen who was smiling at her. I tried, but my talent wasn't exciting enough, Bridget told her while making quotation marks with her fingers and rolling her eyes, which only made Courtney frown a bit. I'm sorry, but standing on your hands for 20 minutes isn't going to get us the win, Courtney defended herself before Naruto held up his hands while still leaning on Bridget's board to stop the two of them. Easy there, you two, don't start at it, please, Naruto asked with a frown, really not wanting this to turn into a fight before they two girls sighed and stopped. What about you, Eva? You try out? Gwen asked, not really knowing much about Eva for the most part other than her enjoying working out. Only thing I can think of me trying would be deadlifting, and Chris doesn't have the equipment for it, Eva explained with a grumble. That sucks, as honestly I'm a bit curious as to how much you can lift since you definitely are the strongest person here, Naruto told her with a smile, getting her to blush before quickly looking away. 5-10 pounds, Eva muttered, which got looks of shock from everyone. Really? Holy crap! Isn't the deadlifting record for women like 600 or something? Naruto asked before Eva shook her head. It's recently become 694 pounds, Eva admitted while Bridget scoffed. So? 510 pounds is still insane, Eva, and honestly really cool, she told her with a smile, getting Eva to blush a bit more before they heard a wild laugh. Courtney looking to the side just in time to see Izzy run past her and leap off the dock into the water between where the boys were messing around at and where they were. Seems like everyone is hanging out in the ocean for the most part today, Gwen muttered as they watched where she landed, expecting her to burst up and come bother them only for nothing. Is she okay? Courtney asked, a bit worried due to her not resurfacing for what felt like a minute. They all nearly jumped out of their skins as Izzy burst up behind Naruto and hugged her arms around his chest. Hey there, big boy! Looking for me? Izzy said, resting her chin on his shoulder while Naruto and everyone around that could see her froze in shock a bit. Izzy! You lost your top! Bridget hissed out, not wanting to let any of the guys overhear them while a topless Izzy hugged on Naruto's back. Oh! I was wondering why I felt skin-to-skin contact on my chest. Can't say I really mind as his muscles are really nice, Izzy purred out as she rubbed up against Naruto, who was beet red and frozen in place from the sensation of Izzy's breasts pressing up against his back. As someone find her top, Courtney told the girls while Naruto did his best not to let Izzy turn him around. Don't you have any modesty? Courtney asked her before Izzy gave a non-committal shrug. Why should I when I have the hots for him? I mean, a girl's gotta get her feelings across after all, Izzy told them with a wink before perking up. Oh, I wonder if I got something of his as hard as his muscles? She asked with a perverted giggle, reaching around before Eva stopped her hand from the other side of Bridget's board where she was leaning on and handed Izzy back her top. Put it on. Now! Eva growled out, which only made Izzy pout as she grabbed it and submerged herself up to her neck. Are you no fun, Eva? Such a spoil sport, Izzy grumbled while putting her top back on. There, the girls are hidden again. Happy? She asked after poking up from the water to show that her top was indeed back on her. Izzy groaned as Eva lifted her up only to quickly drop her with a flat look on her face. Put on your bottoms as well or I'm dragging you out of the water, she warned her, getting Izzy to let out a louder groan. Fine. You remind me of my mom. Izzy, put your clothes back on. Izzy, don't French your boyfriend at the dinner table, Izzy said in a mocking tone while rolling her eyes and pulling up the bottoms of her swimsuit from around her ankles before hopping up on Bridget's surfboard so she could pat her butt. There! Fully clothed, happy now? Izzy asked before crossing her arms in a huff and sliding back off into the water. Overjoyed, now snap out of it, Naruto, Eva growled, splashing Naruto with some water, seemingly restarting him as he shook his head, his face still rather red. Why yeah, I'm good now, sorry about that, Naruto muttered while the girls smirked a bit at that since his reaction at least showed he wasn't overly used to girls in regards to nudity. It's fine, but I swear to God if you try and sneak closer to peeking at us I will hit you, Cody, Eva warned, surprising and confusing everyone before she turned to see Cody submerged to just a bit below his nose and was moving closer to Gwen. The teen was already way too close to her to the point she hurriedly swam over to Naruto's side once she noticed him. I was just coming over to ask if I could join you ladies, that's all, Cody nervously stuttered out while Eva glared at him. And is that why you stayed silent the entire time while inching slowly closer and hiding underwater whenever we turned that way? Eva asked with a glare while she moved over to him until she was inches from him. Leave. Now, she ordered, getting him to nod and quickly swim away under the water. I feel sorry for the kid honestly, but damn is he awkward and creepy, Naruto said with a sigh, gently draping his arm Gwen's shoulder and squeezed the shoulder opposite of him. You okay? He asked before she nodded, giving him a soft smile. Yeah, just so not cool, she told him while he nodded and let her go, Gwen deciding to stay where she was beside him since it felt nice. Oh! Oh! I know something fun we can do! Let's see who can hold their breath the longest underwater, Izzy excitedly declared while waving an arm of hers in the air. You know what, I'm down. I'm interested to see how long I can last, Naruto said, happy to have something to change the topic. I'll take a piece of that since as a surfer and avid swimmer I have pride on the line, Bridget said while she slid off her board with Eva shrugging as well. Fine, I'll see how I go, she grumbled before everyone turned to Gwen given she was the last girl in the water, Courtney still on the dock and merely enjoying having her feet in the water. Sure, why not? Gwen said with an eye roll before Courtney plopped into the water. Count me in as well since it's no fun just watching, she told them before Izzy excitedly bounced a bit. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Izzy counted down before they all plunged underwater. An hour and a half later. It was your own fault, Naruto. You shouldn't have tried holding your breath that long underwater when Bridget looked so composed, Courtney told Naruto as he walked back towards the cabins with her and the other girls. The guys still swimming for a bit longer despite Chris telling them they needed to get things settled for the challenge out at the amphitheater. Okay, how does lasting that long make the punishment of water in my ear a fair one? Naruto asked while pounding the side of his head while it was tilted to the side to try and get it out. Plus, I'm pretty sure Bridget cheated and is part mermaid or something. There is no reasonable way she could hold her breath that long, Naruto complained, having gotten second place in their little contest. I'm a surfer dude. I basically live at the beach and go diving all the time. I just have more practice than you, Bridget told him with a smirk, getting him to frown and stick his tongue out at her, which made her stick hers back out at him. Plus you lasted nearly as long as her, wouldn't you be a mermaid as well by your definition? Eva asked with a raised eyebrow, her having a point before Naruto shrugged it off. I took singing lessons. Breath is a big part of singing, so my lungs are strong. Not as strong as a certain half-fish lady on my team it seems, he grumbled, getting Courtney to roll her eyes and Izzy to giggle while Gwen smirked at the team interactions. No matter the results, you should have been more careful. You are a part of the contest later today and should be careful. I really hope the water won't affect you, Courtney worried before he waved her off and pounded his head a few times before letting out a sigh of relief and standing back upright. There, all better now, but even if I did have some water in my ear I've sang and played with worse, he assured them before they stopped, at the fork in the road between cabins. Well, I'll see you at the show. Try not to gush too much over my rocking performance, he told Gwen with a wink and a pair of finger guns, getting the goth girl to roll her eyes again before waving to him with her back to him as she walked away. As Naruto got changed in his cabin, he frowned a bit, overhearing Lindsay being more Lindsay than normal and almost overacting. The reason for it became obvious once he walked out of his cabin to see Heather and Lindsay walk out together and off towards the amphitheater, unaware that someone had seen them. What are you up to? Naruto thought with a frown as he grabbed his guitar before heading off to the amphitheater a bit behind them, deciding to keep an eye on Heather as something didn't feel right. Amphitheater. So yeah, that is the song I have in mind. It'll be okay, right? Naruto asked Chris before the host gave him an okay with his hand. Don't worry about copyright, we'll take care of it, and knowing you it'll be intense. You get everything ready and you'll have 5 minutes to cart it out after the last act of the Gophers perform, Chris told him before he was called away for something else. So you finally decided on a song? Courtney asked as she took a break from practicing on her violin. Yeah, I picked the one I felt I could work the crowd best to. It's important since when I play I like to make something people react to, he told her with a smile, closing up his guitar case while he lay back on the floor of the stage. Closing his eyes to relax with his legs dangling over the edge of the stage before Courtney started to play her violin again. So can you really stand on your hands for 20 minutes? Jeff asked Bridget, getting Naruto to open an eye to watch them a bit. Want to bet that I can't? Bridget goaded him a bit, wiggling a chocolate bar at him a bit before Jeff jumped onto his feet with a massive smirk. You're on, Jeff said, wanting to see if she really could or not. I'll take a piece of that action, Harold said, also interested to see if it was possible. Yeah, right, that's like virtually impossible, DJ told her as he and Duncan played cards while everyone was getting ready over the next few hours. I don't know, you'd be surprised what people can do, DJ, I've seen weirder, Naruto told them while he stayed lying down given his prep work was something he could do with his eyes closed. Okay then, ante up people, Bridget said as one by one people started to set money on a nearby crate. You want in on this, Naruto? Bridget asked before he waved her off. I'm good, but no, I support you in spirit, he told her, raising up a fist with a smile. Okay, 20 minutes starting now, Bridget said, quickly getting onto her hands while Duncan was on time duty. Naruto watched out of one eye and was instantly a bit worried once she started walking. The worry only seemed to grow as she got her leg caught on a rope, him following it to see it connecting to a light that was positioned above Courtney. Oh crap! Naruto thought as he quickly sat up and took off just as Bridget pulled on the rope. He grit his teeth as he hooked his arm around Courtney's waist and fell down with her, thankfully her landing on her but a good few feet away from where the light crashed. Oh crap! Bridget yelled in fear as the light hit the ground only for Naruto to groan as he sat up. And that is why you don't secure lights with flimsy rope, Chris. Especially not on the front stage. Naruto groaned before standing up and looking down at Courtney. You and your violin okay? He asked, the shell shocked Courtney only nodding until she eventually looked up at him. You saved my life, she said in shock before he waved her off. More like your violin since it would have landed in it most likely, though I feel the light would have also shattered your arm. I'm just glad no one is hurt from this accident, he told her with a sigh. I am so sorry, Courtney. I didn't know it was connected to a light. I didn't know what I was caught on. I am so glad you are all right. Bridget rattled on a bit until Naruto put his hand on her shoulder while gently pulling Courtney up to her feet. It's all right, Bridget. Just be more careful, Courtney said, walking off to most likely sit down and calm down as Bridget silently nodded. Naruto patted her on the back before he picked up his guitar case, deciding he might as well get started now that his relaxing had been interrupted and that he had seen the true state of the stage he'd be working on. Might as well make sure everything works, as last thing I want is for it to bomb, Naruto thought, hoping at least there might be a smoke machine or two to work with. It took a while, longer than he thought and more effort than he expected, but after finding what little and barely working gear Chris had, he was finally able to get his setup together. He even got directed to a box of props Chris prepared for them, and as he rummaged through it he was able to find exactly what he needed. Oh man, this is going to be perfect, Naruto thought with a chuckle before he paused, hearing some whispering of a familiar voice nearby. I finally found the perfect passage to read out of that creepy goth girl's diary. I'll go on stage in my ballerina outfit as normal only to totally humiliate her by reading her little entry about not being sure which boy she likes better, Heather said with a smirk, Naruto able to see her and Lindsay from a small parting between two curtains. Seriously? That was what she was doing? Naruto thought with a frown as he saw a familiar black book in Heather's hands, the exact same one Gwen had been writing in earlier in the day. He also frowned a bit at how uncomfortable Lindsay looked, clearly not enjoying that she had been roped into this by Heather. So not cool, I've got to get it away from her. But she'll notice it missing and that won't really expose her, unless… he thought, a large smirk growing on his face as he remembered an empty book being a part of the props and some fast-setting spray paint being nearby that just happened to be black. This wasn't the first time he's pulled the rug out from under someone, so he quickly knew what to do. Spraying the outside of the book black was easy and simple, it being fast-setting only making this all the more perfect. It might not be the same size, but honestly he doubted Heather would really pay that much attention. Flipping to a random page near the middle of the book, he used the ribbon attached to the book as a bookmark for her to open to, quickly pulling out a pen and scribbling in a message since he wanted her to know who got her. He kept an eye on Heather as she talked with Lindsay, waiting for the perfect moment to swap the books out. All he needed was 1 second of her setting it down and moving her hand away, and it'd be golden. When it came to agility and stealth, he had practiced a ton with this kind of stuff to perfect his pranks. When the window showed up, he didn't hesitate, snatching Gwen's diary and replacing it with his fake without her even noticing. Have fun there, Heather. Let's see if you learn your lesson, Naruto thought before he slipped it into his guitar case for safekeeping. I'll have to explain it to Gwen later, but I feel she'll get the message when Heather embarrasses herself on stage. For now, let's get ready to rock, he thought with a smirk, as he changed into the costume he found while waiting for his turn to act while the challenge officially started. It's the TDI Talent Extravaganza, Chris' voice announced over the speakers before the hosts walked on stage. Welcome to the very first Camp Wawanakwa Talent Contest, where 6 campers will showcase their mad skills and desperately try not to humiliate themselves. First up for the Screaming Gophers is Justin, Chris introduced, getting claps from the Gophers' side of the bleachers. Justin's act, though, was a bit odd in Naruto's opinion as he watched from backstage. It literally just consisted of him doing a few poses before sitting in a chair and pulling a cord to drop water down on him, a scene straight out of Flashdance. Okay, I don't know what that was, Chris told the model Prettyboy as he walked back out on stage. But dang, you've got some moves, dude. You scored a 6 out of 10 from Chef, he announced, getting cheers from the Gophers before Justin walked off stage. Next up, first act for the killer bass. Get ready for Courtney, he continued, moving to the side as Courtney walked out with her violin. Courtney took a deep breath, looking to the side to see DJ, Jeff, and Naruto all giving her thumbs up before she nodded and began her piece. Her piece, if Naruto had to describe it, was soft and melodic, something easy to listen to but not boring. It clearly showed her skill with it as she played. Her eyes closed as she played her song to its finish before opening them back up and nervously looking out to the crowd. Her worry quickly disappeared, though, as her team started to cheer for her, some people whistling to cheer her on even more. Wow, that was some masterful violin ing there, Courtney. Chef liked it too, giving you a 7 out of 10 from Chef, Chris said, getting Courtney to bounce happily before rushing off stage. That was great, Courtney. Nice job, Naruto said with a smile before Courtney hugged him, surprising him a bit before he hugged her back and ignored the knowing looks from Jeff and DJ. All thanks to you saving my violin, she said before pulling back a bit with a raised eyebrow. By the way, why are you covered up like that? She asked, finding the large blanket wrapped around him to be odd. I'm keeping my costume secret for better effect. Trust me, it'll make sense in the end, he told her before she shrugged her shoulders a bit. Whatever, let's just keep strong, team. We can do this, Courtney said with a massive smile as she rushed off to put her violin away. Now let's see if the Gophers can fight back with their next act. Trent, take it away, my bro, Chris said, introducing the next act before Trent walked on stage with his guitar. Thanks, Chris. Now before I get started, I want to say this one goes out to someone special here at camp. Trent said before he started to play. His song was very, well, soft. It was entirely him just strumming a song on his guitar and singing a light song about a girl he wanted to spend time together with, just the two of them. It was romantic for sure, but to Naruto it reminded him more of a cafe song a bit. He did though find himself frowning a bit as Gwen watched and smiled at Trent before he finished his song. "Dude, don't let him get to you, your song is going to blow his out of the water," Jeff said, trying to assure Naruto that it was fine since their two kinds of music was entirely different and Naruto had a stronger vibe to him than Trent, who seemed a lot more mellow. "Relax guys, I'm not going to get depressed cause a guy happens to like the same girl I'm interested in," Naruto told them with a roll of his eyes before Chris came out on stage. "Nice work. I'm liking your style, dude, and so does Grandmaster Chef, giving you an 8 out of 10. Chris told him while Trent waved out into the crowd, Chris quickly getting tired of it. "Alright, quit hogging my light, buddy," he told him before shoving Trent off stage due to him sitting on top of a stool with wheels. 3 down and 3 to go. The base seriously need to keep matching blows to the Gophers or else this will become dangerous. Let's hear it for the big guy. DJ," Chris said, introducing the next act as an 80s pop beat started to play and DJ walked out. DJ's act started out strong with nice rhythm and flow to his ribbon before he swirled it around and tried to hop through it, only for it to tangle around his legs. He hopped a bit, struggling to get his legs loose, eventually able to only for his ribbon to drape over his face once freed, but a bit too late to recover as the music ended. "Dainty yet masculine, Grandmaster Chef gives you 2 out of 10. Ouch," Chris said with a frown, a disappointed DJ walking off stage only to be consoled by the others behind stage. "Don't worry about it, dude, you did your best. We aren't done yet," Jeff said, trying his best to console him despite knowing if Heather scored high enough then they really couldn't recover. "Don't worry about Heather, honestly. Just watch. Also, Jeff, can you do me a super fast favor?" Naruto told them before patting Jeff on the back with a smirk. "Sure thing, dude, depends on what it is though," he said since he didn't have a problem with helping a friend and a teammate. "Oh, it's simple, just deliver something with a message," Naruto told him, whispering something in his ear while Chris walked on stage. "Now, final act of the Gophers, here she is for the leaders. Heather!" Chris introduced as Heather walked on stage, rolling a stool along with her before she sat down with her hands behind her back. "Originally I was going to dance for you, but instead I want to celebrate team spirit with a collaboration," Heather said as she pulled Gwen's diary from behind her back, looking Gwen right in the eyes while she noticed the party boy from the other team whispering to her although she couldn't care less about him. Right now she was more focused on exposing Gwen's diary on television. "So, with words by Gwen, performance by me, enjoy," Heather declared, opening the diary and turning to the page she bookmarked. "Dear diary, I'm such a total fool for not realizing this before. I mean, this book doesn't even have a lock on it, and if I had looked through the other pages I would have realized they were all blank." Heather started out only to grow confused as she read on. "Next time I shouldn't brag about my plan in the open," she read before gritting her teeth as she stopped reading aloud and continued in her head, glaring furiously at the pages. "By now you should have stopped reading out loud, or at least I hope you have enough comprehension to realize this far and that this isn't what you thought it was. You see, reading someone's innermost thoughts like their diary are a real terrible move to make, especially on your own team. Thankfully I swapped out the books and returned it to Gwen right before your act, probably via Jeff or someone else I could get nearby me. I have to seriously ask if you are trying to make everyone hate your guts? This legit makes me wonder how hated you are in school. Next time think before you act and try not to do something utterly irreversible like that. Or else expect more pranks like this." Naruto, she read before she burst up from her seat, threw the book as hard as she could down at the floor, and stomped off. She had never been more embarrassed in her life. She could feel her face heating up in a mixture of rage and embarrassment before she stomped away to the cabins before anyone could say a word. Chris was confused as he walked on stage, picking up the book before he started laughing loudly. "Dude, that is rich! Nice one, dude!" Chris said, giving Naruto a thumbs up before wiping a tear from laughter from his eye. "Heather, for her embarrassing reading, gets a solid 3 out of 10 from Chef," Chris said while he held in his laughter. Though before the bass's final act there will be a 5-minute setup period for Naruto," he added before walking off. "Dude, that was killer, and you are so lucky I'm not disqualifying you for it," Chris said while Naruto smiled and shrugged his shoulders. "How was I supposed to know she was using that book? Last I heard she was doing ballet and she literally just revealed her change as she got on stage. Blame her for not making it clear," Naruto said with a wink which only made Chris start laughing again before tossing the book at him. "I am so happy I brought you in. You are so going to make this a great season," Chris said before walking off to let him prepare for his act. "Okay, right now the Gophers have 16 out of 30, and we have 9. I have to score at least 8 to win. Let's do this," Naruto thought with a smirk as he started to get the stage ready for his song. Gwen frowned a bit while they waited due to the fact she wasn't allowed backstage to talk to Naruto. She wanted to thank him for saving her diary and outing Heather for it, but Chris had kicked everyone out from behind stage to where only Naruto was back there. She figured she'd just have to wait until after his act, and as the curtain moved up she figured it wouldn't be long. Everyone watched as smoke rolled out from either side of the stage, a dim spotlight shining down on Naruto as he was sitting down in a wooden chair, his guitar in hand with a cloak covering him entirely where they could only see the lower half of his face. "Oh mama, I'm in fear for my life from the long arm of the law. Lawman has put an end to my running and I'm so far from my home. Oh mama, I can hear you crying, you're so scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows and I don't have very long." He started to sing, his voice soft as the sound of drum thumping could be heard in between lines. It was quiet before a scream sounded out and he quickly stood up, kicking back his chair and throwing off his cloak to reveal his costume of a pair of orange prison pants, a black and white striped shirt that had the sleeves torn off, and a pair of shackles around his ankles and wrists. "The jig is up, the news is out, they've finally found me, the renegade who had it made, retrieved for a bounty. Never more to go astray. This will be the end today of the wanted man," he sang, starting to move around on the stage, moving with the music as he smirked out to the crowd to see everyone's reaction and how they were all watching him. The guys were all seemingly loving it, totally mouthing the words as they moved to the music while the girls were smiling and entranced by him. He of course made sure to send a wink Gwen's way which made her blush and smile a bit. "Oh mama, I've been years on the lam and had a high price on my head," Lawman said, "get him dead or alive? Now it's for sure he'll see me dead. Dear mama, I can hear you crying, you're so scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows and I don't have very long," he continued, getting down to his knees, frowning and shivering as he sang the scared and all alone line before quickly standing up and walking away with his back to the crowd for the rest of the verse, turning around on the heel of his foot at the end. "The jig is up, the news is out, they've finally found me. The renegade who had it made, retrieved for a bounty. Never more to go astray. The judge will have revenge today on the wanted man." The song continued before Naruto started the guitar solo, not doing anything too crazy during it like getting on his knees and leaning back like he's seen some rock stars do, but mainly just focus on playing the notes, and let everyone see his fingers fly to show them how skilled he was. He could hear people cheering and hooing as he continued the solo and motioned for them to bring it as the next chorus started, them quickly getting what he meant as they started to sing along with him. "Oh mama, I'm in fear for my life from the long arm of the law. Hangman is coming down from the gallows and I don't have very long." They all sang with him before he nodded his head with a massive smile and continued on with the song, them knowing to stop singing along. "The jig is up, the news is out, they've finally found me. The renegade who had it made, retrieved for a bounty. Never more to go astray, this will be the end today of the wanted man. The wa-a-enti-ma-a-an." He sang on, stretching out the last word while he continued riffing on his guitar, falling to his knees as he finished up the song, and everyone started clapping and letting out roaring cheers. "Dude! That was sick!" Chris yelled in utter disbelief of the pure rock show they just witnessed. "Chef is beyond blown away as well, saying you did the song justice, and then some for a perfect 10 out of 10. With that, the screaming Gophers have been trampled by the killer bass with a score of 19 to the Gophers 16. He declared as the bass rushed the stage. "Courtney, Bridget, and even Eva rushed to hug Naruto tightly before Eva and the guys lifted him into the air. Screaming Gophers, pick your favorite loser and I'll see you at the bonfire, Chris told the losing team as the base walked off with Naruto cheering over their intense victory. Confession cam. That jerk thought he was real smart swapping out the books like that and making me embarrass myself, but he'll learn later that I always get my revenge. Surviving will be easy with me, Lindsay and Beth voting for Justin. Then add on Izzy, who is simple to get to go along due to her, being crazy. As for the last vote, it's easy to sway Cody since all I have to tell him is that with Justin gone there will be one less hot guy getting in his way to be with Gwen. It was almost too easy, Heather said as she crossed her arms with a glare. Naruto will learn it was a bad move to cross me like that. I'll make him regret it as people don't cross me and get away unscathed. She finished before she quickly got up and stomped out of the confessional stall. Bonfire. Kudos to you all for an incredible night of entertainment, for the most part, Chris said to them as he had already passed out some of the marshmallows. There is only one marshmallow left on this plate. Justin, you reminded us that looks matter a lot, and Heather, you got duped and embarrassed yourself on national television by trying to read another chick's diary only to get it swapped and suffer the consequences of an embarrassing retaliation. Chris went on, getting Heather to glare at him. Oh, shut up and give me my marshmallow already! Heather yelled, not wanting him to go on about it like this. Justin, I personally think this is very wrong, but tonight hotness just wasn't enough and the last marshmallow goes to Heather, he declared, handing it to her while frowning at the model pretty boy. Time to catch the boat of losers, brah, he told him, watching as Justin walked off with his head hung low. Later, brah, Heather said with a smirk as she waved him off, tossing the marshmallow into her mouth only to cough as she felt something fly into her mouth at the same time as she bit into the marshmallow, freaking out as it exploded in her mouth. Gah! I think I bit a bug. A spicy bug. I need water. Heather ran off, her face quickly growing dark red as she tried fanning off her tongue. I don't know about you all, but you all should watch out for the red Savina habanero flies, not as deadly as the ghost pepper flies, but I didn't want to kill her, Naruto said with a smirk, as he made himself known to Gwen once Chris and the others left while he held a slingshot and a bottle of pellets. You shot one of those into her mouth? Gwen asked with a smirk, looking over the bottle once Naruto handed it to her. My mom's nickname is the Red Hot Habanero. I bought those as a little remembering of her while I am away from home. Plus they make for amazing pranks and I felt she needed a little something extra for what she did, he told her, getting Gwen to smile since she hadn't gotten a chance to talk to him since before the competition. Your act was really amazing, Naruto, like you seriously are a great singer and guitarist, she told him, making him rub the back of his head with a blush. Also thanks for protecting my diary like that. It was really sweet of you, she said with a warm smile, Jeff having passed on the message of how Naruto found it and kept it safe for her. She was even able to snatch up the fake one Heather read from and see exactly what was written in it. Of course, I wasn't going to let the diary of a good friend get read on TV, plus just taking the book wouldn't be any fun, hence the prank, he told her with a smile before she grabbed his arm and pulled him to her a bit before kissing his cheek. That was just for protecting my diary. Don't read into it, she told him with a dark blush before handing him his pellets back. I'll see you later, she quickly added while blushing a bit more as he blushed and nodded, seemingly frozen from the surprise a bit before she hurried off. As she left, his smile widened and grew, today being an amazing day for him from start to finish. He had some fun with people at camp, rocked out, and kept a friend of his safe. All in all, if the days kept being like this, he felt boredom wouldn't be a thing he'd have to worry about in the slightest. A few days had passed since the talent competition, and for the most part things were more or less the same. Things though did change slightly between him and Gwen. He wouldn't say it was awkward between them or that it was hard to be around each other, but sometimes when their eyes met one of them would end up blushing. Of course Heather was still beyond pissed at him for what he did during her performance. Her glare was something he could almost always feel directed at him. Her figuring out about the habanero pellets didn't help, though honestly he didn't care what she thought of him since with her on the other team there was nothing she could do to sabotage him, especially when the whole camp knew she was out to get him. He couldn't hold in his yawn as he sat at his team's table for lunch, looking up from his meal only to meet Gwen's eyes again and look away with a blush again. The blush quickly went away though as Jeff draped his arm over his shoulder. So, care to explain what all the blushing between you and Gwen is about? Jeff asked with a grin, poking his stomach to try and goad him on to spill the beans while Naruto merely rolled his eyes. Nothing is happening with us, we are just friends, he assured him before Duncan plopped down next to him. Sure, and the Queen of England is my aunt, Duncan said with an eye roll and groan. Just tell us, man, something is obviously up with you two. What did you two do? Make out? He asked with a smirk. There was no making out, guys, and even if there was I really wouldn't go around blabbing about it, he told them with a flat look before a loud slamming down of a tray made them jump. Yeah, guys, lay off Naruto, he's actually mature and thoughtful about stuff like that, unlike some guys, Courtney told them, giving a clear look at Duncan to mean she meant him. Girls aren't fond of guys going around and telling everyone what they have done, so even if he did do something with her, which I believe him when he says he hasn't, he doesn't need to tell anyone, she defended, giving Naruto a smile which he returned. Thanks, Courtney, Naruto said with a chuckle, glad to have some backup when it came to the teasing given it had been like this since the day after the talent competition. Any time now, we better hurry cause Chris mentioned a challenge right after lunch. She groaned a bit since the challenges so far were either physically exhausting or mentally. Honestly, she didn't know which one she preferred most since both were pretty bad depending on how they exhausted them. With lunch finished, he let out a bit of a sigh as he sat on one of the stumps in front of the bonfire area with his team, and the other team so Chris could announce the next challenge. Okay, campers. Today's challenge will test your outdoor survival skills. I'm not going to lie to you, some of you may not come back alive. Chris started out, scaring some before he laughed and held up his hands with a smirk. Just joking. All you have to do is spend one night in the woods. Everything you need is at your team's campsite in the forest, you just have to find it. He told them, pulling 2 maps and compasses from a nearby bag before tossing them to Duncan and Heather. Oh, and watch out for bears. Lost a couple of interns in pre-production, Chris warned them with a frown. First team back for breakfast wins invincibility, he declared before blowing an air horn to signal the start of the challenge. Okay, I think I should be in charge of the map and compass. I was a CIT and they had me in charge of the nature hikes, Courtney said before Duncan shrugged his shoulders with a smirk. By all means, princess, lead the way, he told her while Courtney ignored his comment and opened up the map to get an idea of the direction they were going to be heading in. Did he say there were bears? Leshwana asked, clearly afraid of the prospect of running into a bear. Well, this is Canada and a forest is on the island. I doubt any of us will actually run into them, Naruto tried to assure her while shrugging his shoulders a bit. I so hope you get eaten by a bear, Heather yelled at him, Naruto merely rolling his eyes and waving back at her. Love you too, sweetheart, he said with a smirk, getting the guys on his team, as well as a few girls, to chuckle at. Geez, she really hates you, Bridget said as she looked over her shoulder a bit to see Heather furiously glaring at Naruto. Yeah, girls like her hate it when their little high school acts of mean girl violence are stopped and they have it turned around onto them. Give her a week or two and she'll hate me a little less than she does now, or sooner if she finds herself a new target, he explained, shrugging his shoulders as Heather didn't scare or bother him all that much. She was the kind of girl he saw perfectly as the main mean girl in the movie Mean Girls or, fittingly enough, the main Heather in the Broadway play Heather. All in all, he's seen her type, dealt with them before, and knew she had no real power. Focusing on her wouldn't help his game, so why bother? Though, as they talked, none of them realized or noticed Sadie and Katie lagging being once the two of them noticed a blueberry bush. Gophers. Ugh! He is so the next one to leave and I'll find a way to make sure of it, Heather growled out once her team started down their path. Who? Trent asked, confused about who she was talking about. Who do you think? He embarrassed me on TV, Heather yelled with a glare, getting some of her teammates to roll their eyes at. Yeah, but you did bring it upon yourself, Trent told her before he found himself bumping into the back of Lindsay once Heather suddenly stopped, others bumping into him and causing a chain reaction. And how did I bring it upon myself, you Beatles wannabe? She growled out with an even harder glare. For trying to read someone's diary on TV like, as he said, who does that? Leshwana spoke up, starting to get sick of the girl's attitude and how nasty she was being. Oh, shut up! He is going down! Heather yelled before she started stomping ahead of them a bit. Base. Guys? I don't see any food, Harold said with a frown once they arrived at their campsite, noticing a tent and some blankets, but no food. I'm pretty sure we have to get our own food, Eva flatly told him, thinking the whole survive a night in the woods would have made that obvious. I think I saw a river a bit back. We could always go fishing if anyone knows how to, Jeff suggested while Courtney stepped forward. I agree food is important, but so is shelter and warmth. We should divide things up so who all knows how to fish first, she asked, looking around before Eva and Naruto raised their hands. I used to go fishing with my uncle, and while we may not have fishing rods, I know of a few other ways to catch them, he told them while Eva nodded along. I've caught a few with my bare hands in the past, so I'll be able to get a few, Eva said before Bridget nervously rose her hand. Guys, I'm a vegetarian. What about me? Can I maybe come foraging for edible plants and berries while you fish? She asked, since she really doesn't want to starve or eat meat. That's perfect. The more food the better when staying out in the wild, Courtney told them before the three of them went off to start collecting their food. As for the rest of us, half need to work on getting the tent set up and the other half collects firewood. Wait, where are Katie and Sadie? Courtney started before noticing they were down a set of pseudo-twins. I was wondering why I could hear my thoughts again without oh my gosh ing in the background, Duncan said with a look of realization. Should we go out looking for them? DJ asked, since if it were him he'd be terrified of getting lost in the woods. All we can really do is wait for them, as going out searching for them would only get more of us lost. If they are smart, they'll find their way back to camp, since with how the island is laid out, if you go straight you'll hit shore and can loop around. They should be smart enough to do that, Courtney told them, not wanting more of them to get lost looking for them. All she could do was hope for them to come back before the end of the challenge. If not, then it'd be an obvious choice of who gets voted off. Gophers. It says we are supposed to find our own food, Heather groaned out once rereading the instructions another time. I still don't see it, she said, frustrated already, and the challenge had just started. I think they mean in the woods, Trent told her, getting her to scoff at it as if that idea was ridiculous to even imagine. At least this will be a good week for my diet, she grumbled out as she rolled up the map. I'm sure some of us can go out and get some fish. Shouldn't be that hard. I'll go if someone wants to go along with me, Trent assured her, looking around for volunteers only to get Izzy to excitedly raise her hand and bounce a bit to get his attention. Oh, I wonder if we'll get any bears with the fish we get. We could totally start making bear noises to get their attention, Izzy said excitedly before she suddenly started growling loudly and roaring. Shut up and just go get us food, Heather yelled, getting Trent to roll his eyes before he and Izzy went off in search of fish from the river nearby. Base. Why you guys work fast, Naruto said with an impressed whistle to see that his team was nearly finished setting up the tent and had already started the fire with the sun just starting to set. We brought back enough fish for everyone and a bit extra, plus Bridget found a lot of edible berries, so we should be set, he told them before hanging the fish on a nearby fallen tree that was pointing upwards from the rope that was binding their tails, with Eva doing the same. We really can be efficient, can't we? Courtney said, proudly smiling at him before Naruto smiled and playfully ruffled her hair only for her to swat it away with a blush and a non-serious glare. Here, do you guys need help with the tent? Naruto asked, noticing Harold and Tyler were having some trouble with keeping it from collapsing. Yeah, it's really being tricky, man, Tyler said with a frown before Naruto patted him on the back. Well, given these are all just wooden sticks, nothing fancy, I can understand some troubles. How about you try and help Duncan get sticks to skewer the fish with Eva? He suggested, not wanting to have them feel useless before Bridget came over to help alongside him. Here, I'll help as well. I'm pretty good with tents, as me and my friends go camping at the beach and none of us really spring for a good tent, Bridget said with a bit of a chuckle, given sticks were pretty much what those tents had to work with as well. Thanks, I just hope there is enough space for all of us, he told her with a chuckle while the two of them continued putting up the tent. Hey guys, look what I found! DJ called out, getting everyone to look over to see the gentle giant walking into their campsite with a bunny in his arms that seemed to have a nasty cough. He's my new pet, I'm calling him Bunny, for now until I think of a better name, he told them while he pet it gently. Well, wherever it sleeps tonight, look after it, as last thing we need is to wake up to rolling over onto pellets, Duncan said with a frown, he and everyone shivering at the thought of it. Gophers. It took a while, mainly due to Izzy insisting on diving into the river for the fish, but in time they were finally able to get fish back to their campsite and start to grill them. Wait a second, where is Crazy Girl? Heather asked, quickly noticing the lack of her being in utter spaz. I think she had to pee, Lindsay said while not being too sure since she didn't really ask when she left. That was over an hour ago, Trent told them, quickly standing up worried for her given the threat of bears. Izzy! Izzy! Trent yelled out, hoping she'd hear them but stopped as there was a rustling in the bushes. Izzy? Is that you? Trent asked gingerly before a bear rose up from the bushes and roared. Everyone was frozen in shock, some hiding behind others while some, in Cody's case, soiled themselves. The trees! Climb into the trees! Heather quickly yelled out, running there herself as she did so, hoping that could save them. Base. With their fish cooked, their tents up, and the fire strongly burning in front of them, the base were relaxing and actually handling the challenge well. Other than Bridget though, who was getting startled every now and again at noises in the woods. Be cool, it's just an owl, DJ assured her, getting Bridget to nod and relax a bit. Sorry, I just get really freaked out in the forest, Bridget said, rubbing her arm a bit to try and calm herself down some. This reminds me of this really scary story I told once, Duncan said, which only got Jeff excited beside him. Awesome! Tell it, man! He encouraged while Duncan looked unsure if he should actually tell it. Are you sure? 'Cause the story I'm thinking of is pretty hardcore, Duncan warned them, getting an eye roll from Courtney. Oh, we're so scared, she said in a heavy sarcastic tone while Duncan shrugged his shoulders. Okay, don't say I didn't warn you, he said before smirking and crouching down a bit. One night a lot like this one. He started out his story in front of the fire. Naruto wasn't one to get spooked by scary stories, but he liked Duncan's story as he always enjoyed a good story when he heard one. So suddenly they heard this tapping on the side of the car. The girls started to freak out, and by this time even the guy was getting a bit scared, so he turned the car on and he stepped on it. Duncan continued the story, now standing across from everyone on the other side of the fire, using it as dramatic lighting. When they got back to the girl's house, she opened the door and screamed because there, hanging from the door handle, was the bloody hook. They say that this killer is still alive wandering these very woods. He could be just about anywhere really, maybe even right here, Duncan yelled, pulling his hand from behind his back to reveal a metal hook in its place, startling nearly everyone and causing Bridget and Courtney to hide behind Naruto. Naruto had to admit, while he figured that was coming, he had still jumped a bit while Eva looked unfazed. Nice one, dude! Killer story, pun intended, Naruto said with a chuckle while Bridget and Courtney still held on to the back of his shirt a bit. Great, as if I wasn't already spooked by the forest, Bridget said, gripping tighter to the back of his shirt. It's okay, I don't think any killers are on the island, and I doubt anything will attack us, as honestly, Eva is one hell of a deterrent, he told them, nudging Eva with his elbow a bit to show her he was being light about it. Yeah, I've always wanted to fight a bear, she said with a grin while wolves howled in the distance. Or wolves, she added, getting everyone to become less afraid since with her strength and fearsomeness they honestly felt she could win against either animal. Gophers. So what do we do now? Trent asked Heather, them all having ran up into a massive tree like Heather had suggested. Don't look at me, Heather yelled with a glare, not wanting to be put on the spot like this. It was your idea to climb the trees, Gwen pointed out, getting Heather to glare even harder at her. Hey, get away from our fish! Heather yelled out, ignoring Gwen's point and trying to protect their food. It's probably already eaten Izzy! Lindsay cried out before Heather shrugged her shoulders. Then it shouldn't be hungry anymore, Heather told them, getting shocked looks from everyone around her. What? This is survival of the fittest. She should have just peed in her pants like Cody, she added, getting even more heated looks from everyone around her. Hey, lay off the guy. He was closest to the bush when the bear popped out, and you didn't react any better, Ms. Run in the trees, Trent told her, everyone nodding along with his point as doing that was a reasonable reaction when faced with a massive bear. Oh, shut up! I didn't see you giving any other ideas, she yelled in frustration before a familiar laughing sounded out. You guys want any fish? The bear asked them, grabbing the skewered fish off from above the fire before pulling off its head to reveal Izzy. Okay, I'm so confused right now, Lindsay said, not quite sure what was going on. What are you, some kind of weirdo? Gwen asked, annoyed at the whole situation, that Izzy would do that as a joke and scare them like this. I thought it would be funny, Izzy laughed out while taking a bite out of one cooked fish. Base. Sleeping in a tent with 9 people was as difficult as you'd imagine. Thankfully, the tent was a bit more spacious than they expected, though that didn't mean it was comfortable given the lack of blankets and sleeping bags. Plus, the scary story before bed didn't make it any better. The only ones unaffected seemed to be Duncan and Eva. Naruto, though, only found himself unable to sleep due to how uncomfortable the floor was. He sighed before he sat up, noticing Bridget doing the same. You okay? He asked, getting a slight nod from her before noticing her stirring a bit. Oh, you have to go pee? He gingerly added before she nodded. Like crazy, but I'm too scared to go outside since we don't have a fire going anymore, Bridget told him before he got up and popped his neck. I'll walk out there with you so at least you aren't alone, he told her in an attempt to comfort her. Plus I have this, he said, gently tossing her a small flashlight. I keep some stuff on hand like that and a Swiss Army knife, as who knows when it'll come in handy. Thanks, this actually helps a bit, Bridget said before the two of them walked out of the tent, quickly turning on the flashlight to shine out and look out for any animals. They were both suddenly startled as a flock of bats flew out from the trees, sending Bridget jumping back and into his arms where she clung tightly to him with her face in his chest. Whoa! Easy there, it's okay, Bridget, they are just bats. Bats really don't attack, they were probably just startled by the light, Naruto assured her, rubbing her back to calm her down. The sooner you get done, the sooner you can go back in the tent, he added, which got a nod from her as she slowly pulled away. See, can you stay around while she asked before he nodded. Of course, that was the plan after all. I won't be close enough to hear, but if you call for me, I'll be able to get to you. How's that sound? He suggested, getting her to lightly smile before she nodded, and they walked towards the forest a bit. He stayed behind a bit, letting her go on ahead behind a bush while he looked away. Gophers. Rockin' the fish sticks. Nice! Izzy chuckled out as Heather handed her a cooked fish, still in her bear suit minus the head, while the other Gophers all sat around the fire and enjoyed their fish. They barely even reacted as the bushes behind them rustled again, and another bear walked into their campsite. Wow, that costume is really good! I mean, I thought mine was good, but this one is like really good. Izzy rattled on a bit while the bear came up and started sniffing her. It's probably Chris trying to mess with us. Yeah, nice try, man, Trent said while patting the bear's head, getting it to roar a bit. I don't know, Trent, this one looks kind of real, Gwen said, slowly standing up as she didn't like where this was going. Chris did say there were bears, Heather nervously told them, stepping slowly backwards with the rest of them. A roar from the bear, the anger on its face from Trent's patting was all they needed to know that this bear was legit, getting them all to run away and back up into the tree. Base. All done, thanks for walking out here with me, Bridget said with a smile, her blush hidden by the shadows of the trees thankfully. Of course, wouldn't want you getting attacked by anything. I might not be as strong as Eva, but I can at least keep one person safe, he told her before the sound of rumbling made them look up, a few raindrops falling making them rush back to the tent just in time before it started utterly pouring. Well, good thing I peed when I did, cause I wouldn't have been able to go out in this, Bridget said, the two of them watching from the tent's entrance as rain poured. Hopefully we'll be able to sleep, Naruto groaned out, not looking forward to trying to sleep like this as he laid down next to Courtney, Bridget laying down on his other side, all of them having decided to sleeping in a circle with their heads in the middle and their bodies pointing outwards. It won't be too bad, we'll fall asleep before we know it. Just gotta close our eyes and try, she said, flashing him a smile before she closed her eyes, getting him to roll his with a smirk before closing them. God, my back is going to be dead in the morning, he thought with a sigh, waiting for sleep to take him so this night could be over. Next morning, Gophers. Staying the night in a tree was definitely not the way any of them wanted to spend the night, but with a bear down below there was no other way. Okay, I think it's safe, guys, the bear's gone, Trent told them while popping the painful crick in his back, him being one of the first out of the tree to check things out. And so is the map, Gwen said as she picked up the torn-up map only to quickly drop it as the wetness of it felt like something other than water. Okay, I don't know how raccoons sleep in trees because I am so stiff, Izzy complained, looking half dead while still in her bear suit. You know what, crazy girl, I don't want to hear another word from you. If you hadn't acted like bear bait all night, we could have actually slept in our tent, Heather yelled at her, Trent quickly stepping in between them to stop anything from happening. One roar at the start couldn't have attracted the bear, so lay off her. Yes, she did that stupid bear suit joke, but there is no way she's to blame for all of this, Trent defended, since all throughout this challenge Heather had been butting heads with everyone, and he just wanted a break from it for at least 5 minutes. Though today, that didn't seem to be an option. Base. Ugh, arms asleep, Naruto groaned out as he woke up, eyes still closed due to the light peeking in from the opening of the tent. He tried to turn over away from the light only to find himself unable to move. He struggled to open his eyes so he could find out why he couldn't move, only to be surprised with the sight of Bridget and Courtney laying on either arm, using his bicep as a pillow while they somewhat clung to his chest. Girls, as interesting as this is, he started out while softly clearing his throat. My arms are dead, he softly told them, watching them stir before opening their eyes and quickly sitting up. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to cling to you like that, Courtney squeaked out, covering her face with her hands while Bridget quickly nodded, hiding in her hood and behind her hands. Who cares about stupid cuddling? We need to head back to camp now, Eva ordered them, wiping drool off the corner of her mouth while Naruto raised an eyebrow once he felt and noticed a wet patch on one of the legs of his jeans. Wait, what about Katie and Sadie? Naruto asked, a mix of worried about them for their safety and due to the fact them missing meant they possibly couldn't win. If they aren't back at camp already and they cause us to lose, we'll eliminate one of them. Right now we just have to hope they are there, Eva barked out before everyone was up and running after her, as she led the way back to camp with the map, and with Eva in the lead it didn't take them long to get back, even with Harold lagging in the rear. We're the first ones back, Courtney cheered as she noticed the Gophers weren't around. Oh no! They beat us here! This is all your fault! Heather quickly started blaming as she jabbed her finger on Izzy's chest, the redhead seemingly in a bear costume for whatever reason. Ah! Not so fast, Gophers. It seems like the killer base are missing a few fish, Chris pointed out, a few people on the base's team looking around for Katie and Sadie only to find them not here like they were hoping. Oh, you mean Katie and Sadie? I'm pretty sure they got eaten by wolves last night, Courtney said while Duncan nodded along. Darn shame, he added with a straight face before Naruto sighed as he and the others noticed Katie and Sadie running towards them. We made it! Katie happily exclaimed, clapping her hands excitedly. We're safe, Sadie said while smiling over to Katie. Oh my gosh, guys, we got totally lost and then got in this massive fight, and there was this huge bear and was all rawr. You're in my crib, so get out. And we had to run and it was like so scary, the two girls went on, it being difficult at times to figure out who was talking. Oh Sadie, I'm so sorry I said I was prettier than you, Katie apologized, seemingly for something she said during their huge fight. And I'm so sorry I brought up a snack shack, Sadie then apologized next. And I'm sorry I said your butt was too big to fit in the bus seats, Katie continued on with the apologizing train they were seemingly having. You did? Sadie asked, confused, getting Katie to look a bit sheepish. Well, not to your face, she said, Sadie looking at her a bit before smiling. Oh, who cares? We're safe and you're my best friend and I love you, Sadie said, seemingly not caring about the comment in the end. I love you too, Katie happily exclaimed before Courtney walked up to them and cleared her throat. Have you two finished your little love fest? Courtney asked in a polite tone, smiling as the two girls happily nodded. Good, because thanks to you we just lost the challenge, Courtney yelled with a glare, getting the two girls to shrink back a bit. All right, Killer Base. One of your fishy butts is going home, Chris told them before turning to the other team. Gophers. You're going on an all-expense-paid trip to the tuck shop alongside one-time use of the base's hot tub, Chris announced, getting the Gophers to run off and leaving the base to somewhat glare at Katie and Sadie, who were starting to look more and more worried and afraid. Well, there goes our winning streak, Naruto muttered with a sigh, pinching the bridge of his nose and walking past Katie and Sadie before turning back around to them. Care to tell us what caused you both to stay behind? Naruto asked, his voice a calm tone that was clearly struggling to stay that way. We found a blueberry bush, Sadie said with a nervous smile, which only got Naruto to bury his face in one of his hands and groan loudly. Great, fruit over staying together with your team, perfect, he grumbled while walking away, the others following his example with Courtney guiding Eva away so she didn't seemingly snap like she looked to be moments from doing. Later that night. You've all cast your votes. The camper who does not receive a marshmallow must immediately hit the dock of shame, grab the boat of losers, and get the heck out of here. And you can't come back. Ever. Chris explained while looking them all over. I can see you are all mentally exhausted from annoyance, so I'll just throw them to you, he added as one by one he threw out the marshmallows until it was only Katie and Sadie left, who were now hugging and holding on to one another. Ladies, the final marshmallow of the evening, Katie, Chris announced, tossing it only for them to stay attached and let it fly past them. No! Why Sadie? Why her? Katie cried out, them finally separating as Sadie buried her face in her hands. This is so unfair, Sadie cried out into her hands. I so can't do this. I've never been anywhere without Sadie. We have to be together or I'll totally die, Katie yelled out before Sadie grabbed her by the shoulders to stop her. Katie, listen to me, you can do this. You are strong and beautiful and maybe even smarter than me, and plus you are like the funnest, *1, girl I know. You have to do it for both of us. Sadie encouraged her, getting tears to well up in Katie's eyes before Sadie had to be taken to the boat of losers. On one hand, Naruto felt bad about tearing the two friends apart, but on the other hand he was glad to not have to listen to them as they went on about how better the other one was than them. Even as they were separated, they were friendly, arguing about who missed the other one more. He merely sighed, figuring all he could do was move on. Today was an easy challenge, despite the loss, but he knew the next challenge might be very different. Chris didn't have a pattern or theme really, it all depended on his mood. God, I hope the next one isn't too bad, or doesn't end so annoyingly. Chapter end. Tired of watching censored fanfics? Would you like to watch some very naughty, filled with the lemons fanfics without any censorship? I'm happy to announce that I opened Patreon page for you guys, where you could watch Naruto/Deku, 18+ stories without any censoring. Not only that, you can also see the NSFW images of characters of the fics on my Patreon, which I make by myself. So buy your preferred tier and join our community now. Link is in the description.